football start with Ronaldo's star card. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126. Pelé shows off his skills. In a pleasant atmosphere, lunch was over. Wu Lei and Yan Junling left with smiles on their faces. Pelé watched their game videos at the dinner table and promised to personally inspect their abilities on the field. If they were qualified, Pelé would sign agent contracts with them and then find a way to get them to play in European clubs. That night, Pelé and Xiao Chenhui split up. Xiao Chenhui stayed in Shanghai and continued to prepare for the youth training with Du and Zuan. Pelé rushed to Shanghai to further inspect Wu Lei and Yan Junling. Zhui, who flew all the way from Shanghai, stayed and offered to help Xiao Chenhui prepare for the youth training. Hearing Du and Zuan say that there was a shortage of funds at present, Zhui slapped a card on the table without hesitation. There were 10 million Dragon Country coins in it. Xiao Chenhui couldn't use his father's money, and Xiao Han also said that he would not help Xiao Chenhui on this road. Everything depends on him. So what Xiao Chenhui and Du and Zuan lack most now is money. Although the money Zhui took out was not much, it was a timely help. It could temporarily solve the urgent problem. Just like that, Xiao Chenhui, Du and Zuan and Zhui became partners. Each of them held 1/3 of the shares. The youth training could finally be carried out in full swing. Starting from the initial site selection and school construction, the Shuanghu Football School was officially put into construction. As for the name of the school, of course it refers to the Shuanghu of Xiao Chenhui and Zhui. One is a newly rising star of hope, and the other is a veteran football celebrity. The effect of these two people is enough to create a big whirlwind in the football world of Longguo. At the headquarters of Hantang Group, Xiao Han put down the tablet in his hand. He muttered in a low voice, "You haven't figured it out yet, and you're thinking about youth training? This bastard is really bold." The assistant next to him smiled and silently said, "Isn't that inherited from you? In terms of boldness, who can compare with you?" He got something for nothing and got a leading enterprise ranked 11th in the country. Others would not dare to think about it. Go and say hello to all parties and try to help this bastard. Remember, do things secretly and don't let him find out. Xiao Han instructed the assistant. The assistant did not move. He just stood there and laughed. Xiao Han asked in confusion, "Why are you standing there grinning?" The assistant smiled and replied, "Chairman, I have done everything you asked me to do." Following Xiao Han for so many years, of course, the assistant knows the temper of his boss. When it comes to family, the boss always says the cruelest words and does the most considerate things. Can he really ignore his own son? No way. Looking at the assistant's smirk, Xiao Han's face darkened. "Okay, you have grown wings and can go over me and arrange things by yourself. I think I have spoiled you. Read all the documents on the table before leaving. Get off work and draw up a draft. Otherwise you are not allowed to leave work." The assistant looked at the documents piled up on Xiao Han's table like a mountain. His face immediately fell. "Chairman, aren't you taking revenge for personal gain? You can't bully people like this. I want to take care of my son secretly, but I refuse to admit it. Why are you taking it out on me?" Alas, it's true that being with the king is like being with a tiger. It's so hard for me. Without Xiao Chenhui's knowledge, Xiao Han's influence played a crucial role. Regarding the youth training, everything went smoothly. Even the most difficult level of the pig association, there was no additional resistance. Good news always comes in droves. On the third day, after separating from Xiao Chenhui, Pelé returned to the Magic City in a hurry. He said to Xiao Chenhui excitedly, "Hey, Xiao, those two guys are really good. I have signed with them. There is also a guy named Zhangzis who is also very good. I have been following him for a long time. It just so happens that when I go to Shenzhen this time, Zhang's team will play against Wu's team. After the game, I will sign Zhang by the way." Xiao Chenhui was interested in this topic. "Mr. Andrea, do you think they can gain a foothold in the European League?" In the memory of the previous life, Wu Lei and Zhangzis did go to Europe to play football. and they were both in the top 5 European leagues. One is the Spanish team in La Liga, the other is the Wolfsburg team in the Bundesliga. It's just that they went out too late. The best stage for growth was delayed by the Dragon Country Super Low League. The skills and tactics have long been finalized. It is difficult to get enough growth. In the end, they failed to gain a foothold in their respective teams. Zhang's has even got the nickname of water dispenser manager. Can they break their own fate now? This is the question that Xiao Chenhui cares about most. Pirlo smiled confidently. Don't worry, they have solid basic skills. Although there are flaws in their understanding of tactics and some technical movements, overall there are no big problems. Going to the European League to train for 1 or 2 years will definitely improve their current level. It may not be possible to play for a giant club, but it should be possible to play as a starter in a relegation team or even a mid to lower level team. The premise is that they can endure loneliness, be willing to spend the most difficult time on the bench, and fully demonstrate their potential. Xiao Chenhui breathed a sigh of relief. I will talk to them, and I will also ask Brother Z to remind them. Mentality is really a mysterious thing. If you have a correct mentality, you may not get what you want. But if you can't get it right, you are doomed to suffer the bitter fruit of failure. Help Wu Lei and others to have a correct mentality. Grow through tenacity. It is more important to them than anything else. Paused for a few seconds. Xiao Chenhui's curiosity began to overflow again. Which clubs are you going to move them to? Pirlo counted on his fingers and counted them like a treasure. Wu's scoring ability is not weak, and he is spiritual in the game, but his body is relatively thin, so he is not suitable for playing in the Premier League or the Bundesliga. He is not suitable for the reinforced concrete Serie A either. La Liga is the most suitable league for him. If La Liga can't be negotiated, the Portuguese Super League and the Eredivisie are also possible. He is indeed a top-notch world-class superstar. He is really good at judging people. Didn't Wu Lei go to La Liga to play in history? What about the other two? Xiao Chenhui asked excitedly. Pirlo continued to count on his fingers and said, Zhang's skills are relatively good. His passing, control, and shooting are all at a certain level. His awareness and predictive ability are also not bad. These qualities will help him gain a place in the Bundesliga, where the defense is relatively rough. It's still accurate. Every guess is correct. As long as he doesn't go to Wolfsburg, changed to a lower level Bundesliga team. Xiao Chenhui believes that Zhang's has a great chance of becoming famous. As for Yan, he is still too immature as a goalkeeper. He won't be able to gain a foothold in the top 5 leagues in a short time. But I can recommend him to teams like Bologna or Vicenza, and let him start from Serie B like you. Pirlo finally revealed his career plan for Yan Junling. His idea is great. Xiao Chenhui remembers that Bologna should be promoted to Serie A after playing in Serie B next season, and for several years thereafter, it has been ranked in the middle of Serie A without being relegated. Let Yan Junling go to Bologna to hone his skills for a year. By the way, adapt to the Italian game style. Next year, he can follow the team to participate in Serie A games. A typical roundabout way to save the country. Chapter 127. A long time ago. After staying in China for more than half a month, Xiao Chenhui planned to return to Italy. The long summer break was about to end. He had to return to the training ground to find his form. There were too many things going on in China, which seriously affected his training. It would be better to return to Brescia. It was quiet there, except that Inzaghi would often nag him to take a rest and not to train too hard. No one would disturb him. But Pirlo couldn't go back in a short time. He still had a lot of troubles to deal with. The clubs in Longguo were like monsters with bloody mouths. Everyone wanted to suck more blood from Wu Lei and the others. As their agent, Pirlo had to roll up his sleeves and fight with the owners of those clubs for 300 rounds. He didn't know, until he came to Longguo, that there was something called training fee in the world. If you don't pay enough training fee, no one can think of stepping out of Longguo and playing football outside. FIFA's transfer regulations are a blank sheet of paper in Longguo. There is no binding force at all. So Pirlo must fight for reasonable interests for Wu Lei and others. The image rights must not be given to the club. They must be firmly in the hands of the players. Professional players seem to be in a good position. They can earn a lot of money just by lifting their legs. But anyone who engages in sports is eating the rice of youth. When they are old and can't play anymore, what can they use to support their families? So Pirlo will never accept the club's exploitation of Wu Lei and others. The interests that should be fought for must not be reduced at all. Only in this way can they go to Europe without worries. If they are always worried that their hard-earned money will fall into other people's pockets, how can they play a good game? As for the so-called training fee, asking for a sky-high price, just pay it back. Whatever you can cut is the price. Who doesn't know how to bargain? Pirlo, who was born in the richest family in Brescia, grew up under the influence of his family since he was a child. He is a first-class master at the negotiation table. His negotiation skills are no worse than his football skills. If it weren't for the Dragon Country characteristics, he wouldn't even give the training fees to those vampires. But Pirlo is not a soft persimmon that can be manipulated by anyone. On the one hand, he made a slight concession on the training fees. On the other hand, he also prepared the appeal materials. If those vampires are too much, he doesn't mind submitting a lawsuit to FIFA and taking the vampires to court. Let them end up with nothing. In the end, they get nothing. Xiao Chenhui can't help with this kind of thing. With the farewell of Pirlo, Duan Zuan, Zhui, and Ma Fanshu, Xiao Chenhui boarded the flight to Milan. Brescia does not have an international airport. He can only fly to Milan first and then transfer to Brescia. At the moment of boarding the plane, Xiao Chenhui deliberately looked back. But he didn't see the person he wanted to see the most. In the corner, where he couldn't see, Xiao Han sat in the VIP room, looking outside through the reflective glass. Slowly raised his right hand. He gently waved his hand at Xiao Chenhui, who was at the end of his sight. Let's go. You have grown up. Go and fly freely in the vast sky. Your father will be here to watch how you fly into the sky. Chairman, are you really not going to see me off? The assistant couldn't help but speak. Xiao Han shook his head slightly. No need. The young eagle must eventually break away from the protection of the eagle before it can spread its tender wings. The assistant stopped talking. He sighed in his heart. This stubborn father and son are exactly the same. More than 10 hours later, Xiao Chenhui rushed back to his home in Brescia. He pushed open the door and saw that Monica was staring at the honors Xiao Chenhui had won. Serie B champion, Italian Cup champion, Golden Boot for the best scorer. They were polished to a bright shine. It seems that during the time Xiao Chenhui returned to Dragon Country, Monica put all her energy into these honorary trophies. Monica. Xiao Chenhui called softly. Wake up Monica from her daze. Monica's delicate body suddenly trembled. Then she turned around quickly. She rushed up at the fastest speed. She plunged into Xiao Chenhui's arms. 1 day apart. It feels like a long time. How many years have passed? Do you know that this young lady almost got lovesick from you, Longguo? They hugged tightly for 5 minutes. Xiao Chenhui loosened his arms around Monica with a little embarrassment. Well, Monica, can you restrain yourself a little? You are hitting me. Monica looked down at her 30-60. A blush suddenly appeared on her delicate face. Then she showed a charming smile. Didn't I tell you? It's too big and I can't hold it back. Shyness only lasted for a second. Monica regained her nature as a little elf. She raised her beautiful big eyes and looked at Xiao Chenhui's eyes. Look into my eyes and tell me if you are attracting men. I don't talk. Why can't I see deep love in your eyes? I don't talk. Did you go to see your childhood sweetheart? I don't talk. You really don't love me anymore. I have been working for you for so long, but you abandoned me. I don't talk. Hey, what is this? I don't talk. Don't think of buying me a bag to perfunctory me. Am I a materialistic woman? I don't talk. But where did you buy this bag? The embroidery on it is so beautiful. It's better than the new products at Milan Fashion Week. Okay, get out of here and don't stop me from looking at bags. Bags can cure all diseases. This is indeed true. As a woman, there is no one who doesn't love bags. Especially the Panjinsu embroidery unique to Longguo. That is a craft that has been passed down by our ancestors for thousands of years. How can Milan Fashion Week compare? Harmony, Channel. At best, they have only been established for decades or hundreds of years. How can they be compared with the Dragon Country handicrafts that have been accumulated for about 5,000 years? They are not even worthy of carrying shoes. Holding the handicraft bag with Panjin embroidery, Monica looked at it for half an hour. Then Monica remembered that Xiao Chenhui was standing next to her. Curiously asked, "What are you doing standing there like a wooden pole?" Xiao Chenhui said, extremely aggrieved, "Didn't you tell me not to talk? I dare not speak casually." Monica was amused by Xiao Chenhui's pretended grievance. "Okay, stop pretending. After returning to China, my acting skills have improved a lot." Xiao Chenhui was as if he had been pardoned. He smiled and sat next to Monica. Monica stroked the Panjin embroidery bag in her hand. Intoxicated and obsessed with Xiao Chenhui, he exclaimed, "Darling, I have loved studying fashion and bags since I was a child. The embroidered bag you brought back is really good. If it can be integrated with European fashion trends, it will definitely be popular throughout Europe. Combining the ancient handicrafts of Longguo with European fashion trends? This seems to be a good idea." Xiao Chenhui suddenly had a bold idea. Make bags. Chapter 128 Monica's side job. The big event that shocked the whole world was getting closer and closer. Xiao Chenhui had to make adequate preparations before that. Funds were the most important. Most of his salary and bonuses were used for domestic youth training. The advance funds were also given to Ma Fanshu to invest in real estate in China. The remaining assets were only the bitcoins he bought with Monica. But the best time to sell bitcoin has not yet come. Even if it is sold now, it will not be exchanged for much money. If you want to raise enough funds in the short term, you must find another way. Monica's words just now reminded Xiao Chenhui. Why not start a company to make bags? Combine the traditional craftsmanship of Longguo with European fashion trends. Make bags that are unique in the world. Even if it cannot shake big luxury brands such as Armani and Chanel. But it should be no problem to occupy a place in the niche market. After all, Longguo is becoming more and more powerful. And Longguo is the most populous country in the world. The footprints of Longguo people are almost everywhere in the world. To varying degrees, they have brought the culture of Longguo to many countries. More and more people understand and like the culture of Longguo. Therefore, the bags made by combining the traditional craftsmanship of Longguo with the fashion trends of Europe will definitely have a market. The most important thing is that it is a woman's nature to love beauty. Who can resist the temptation of beautiful bags? I'm used to seeing all kinds of leather bags. Suddenly I saw an embroidered bag that I had never seen before. Which woman can't take a few more glances? Wouldn't she have to pay for it after looking at it? Xiao Chenhui told Monica his idea. Monica's eyes lit up immediately. She stood from the perspective of a woman. Especially the perspective of a beauty-loving woman. Of course, she understood the market potential of beautiful bags better than Xiao Chenhui. "Darling, your idea is very good. And I have done some research in this area. I can be a designer in the early stage. It is no problem to design a few bags first. We can start with a small workshop and produce in small batches. Ask Mr. Andrea and Mr. Philip to endorse and expand the influence. Of course, you, the new top scorer in Serie B, can't be lazy. As long as you come forward, our bags will sweep the Brescia market. In the early stage, we can also give some free gifts as promotion. Give one to each of your teammates' wives or girlfriends, and form a chain effect in the region." Monica became more and more excited. From design drawings to production and sales, and then to later publicity and promotion. It's a one-stop service. As the second-generation president of Hantang Group in his previous life, Xiao Chenhui certainly has a strong business mind. He added a few points to the plan proposed by Monica, making the whole plan smoother. The two excitedly high-fived. That's it. While there is still some time in the summer off season, Monica started the preparations in a hurry. I devoted myself to the entrepreneurial tide. I didn't even have time to make breakfast for Xiao Chenhui. I hurried out at dawn every morning. I was busy until around 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening. Or I stayed at home all day. I locked myself in the room to study the design. Xiao Chenhui also returned to the training field during this time. He made up for all the training he had missed before. 10 hours of high intensity training every day. Not a minute less. Our ancestors taught us that diligence makes you proficient and playfulness makes you lose. If you don't advance, you will retreat. Youth is a crazy and desperate running. The last sentence was added by Xiao Chenhui himself. The two of them were busy with their own things. Only when they went home at night, they would snuggle up to each other and talk about training or making bags. In a blink of an eye, another half a month passed. There was only more than a week left before the start of the new season. The players who were on vacation returned to Brescia one after another. They were actively preparing for the upcoming Serie A. Monica's preliminary preparations have also come to an end. After previous efforts, she combined the traditional craftsmanship of Longguo with fashion trends and carefully designed 4 bag designs. They correspond to Longguo's most famous 4 embroidery handicrafts: Su embroidery, Hunan embroidery, Shu embroidery and Yu embroidery. Of course, it is impossible for her to truly comprehend the essence of the 4 embroidery techniques in a short period of time. It is thanks to Ma Fanshu. She visited the birthplace of the 4 embroidery in Longguo and took some embroidery products made by local craftsmen. Then she sent the photos to Monica. Inspired by the photos, Monica was able to draw 4 different styles of design drawings. Maybe Monica is really talented in this regard. According to the different characteristics of the 4 embroidery, she incorporated the matching European style, making the design on the drawings look more charming. For example, Su embroidery has beautiful patterns and elegant colors. She incorporated a lot of Iberian element to create a feeling of orange terracotta tile house with the blue Atlantic Ocean. The highly saturated colors are not dazzling. It seems that the gentle sunshine of Iberia and the slightly salty sea breeze of the Atlantic Ocean are all concentrated in one's control. The characteristics of Hunan embroidery are mainly vivid, realistic, and strong in texture. Its characteristics just meet the aesthetics of Italians. Monica perfectly combines the rich Apennine style with Hunan embroidery. The breath of the Mediterranean comes to your face. It is particularly intoxicating. After completing the design of the artwork and the preliminary side selection process, Monica can finally breathe a sigh of relief. Relax a little. That night, she snuggled up to Xiao Chenhui, suddenly took out a photo, and handed it to him. Xiao Chenhui looked down. Oh, isn't this the gold medal reporter of Milan Sports Daily? After escaping from Italy for so long, Lickery finally came back. This afternoon, my colleague took this photo. Lickery has returned to China. What are you going to do next? Monica leaned her head on Xiao Chenhui's shoulder. She asked softly. Xiao Chenhui took the photo. He casually threw it into the trash can next to the sofa. He said in an unquestionable voice, "No regrets in making a move. I will accept the loss if I lose the bet. Sooner or later, you will have to pay for what you have done." Since Lickery owed Xiao Chenhui a debt, he must get it back in person. If you are not ruthless, you cannot stand firm. If you don't teach Lickery a painful lesson, won't there be clowns like Lickery and Lickway who will come out to cause trouble in the future? Killing the chicken to scare the monkey is necessary. Xiao Chenhui wants everyone to know how tough he is. For Xiao Chenhui, time is reserved for training and competition. There is also time to spend time with Monica. How can he have time to get entangled with clowns? Again, I will not offend others if they don't offend me. If someone offends me, I will dig up his ancestral grave. Let Lickery lie flat in his family's ancestral grave. Go and repent to his ancestors. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129, The Biggest Melon of the Year, 2014. 1 week before the start of the new season, on more than a dozen large screens in the central commercial street of Milan, a video of the bet between Xiao Chenhui and Lickery before the winter break last season was played simultaneously. Lickery laughed arrogantly and contemptuously. "Apologize? Haha, I'm really sorry. I'm afraid I won't be able to wait for that day in my lifetime." His face did not hide his contempt for Xiao Chenhui. To be precise, it should be contempt for all Longguo players. Xiao Chenhui responded with a solemn face. "Do you dare to make a bet?" If I win the top scorer of Serie B this season, you take off your clothes and run around Brescia. Every step you run, shout, Longguo football is great. If I can't do it, I will retire immediately after the season. Never come back. In the video, Lickery laughed even more arrogantly. That look clearly said, with only half of the league left, you, a rookie who has only played once, dare to brag about winning the Serie B top scorer. Not to mention you, a kid from Dragon Country. Even your head coach Inzaghi would not dare to make such a guarantee at his peak. What do you rely on? Exclamation mark. Is it because of your yellow skin? Or your black hair? Perhaps. In that scene at that time, many people had the same idea as Lickery. The football desert of Dragon Country has long been forgotten by the whole world, except for the occasional jokes to entertain the public. The players of Dragon Country are no longer worthy of being remembered by people. The contemptuous look on the faces of most reporters at the scene is the best proof. But today, looking back at this video again, the faces of Lickery and those reporters seem so ignorant. What's wrong with half a season? Xiao Chenhui still wields a machete, rides a red rabbit horse, and scores 34 Serie B goals. Won the golden boot for the best scorer. If you are willing to gamble, you must admit defeat. Even if you lose all your wife's money, you can't cry in front of outsiders. If you don't admit your loss, it would be too ungraceful. If you don't have this courage, why didn't you go to the gambling table in the first place? Looking at the single loop on the electronic screen in front of him, Pelé smiled cunningly. He grinned at Xiao Chenhui on the other end of the phone. Xiao, don't worry, Lickery is a mouse hiding in a hole in the ground, and he has to stick his head out obediently. Otherwise, he really won't be able to survive in Italy in the future. Oh, by the way, I also copied the same video to the Gazzetta dello Sport. I guess their senior executives are now green in the face. Xiao Chenhui's cold laughter came from the microphone. These are what he deserves. No one forced him. I just took back my dignity. Pelé found that Xiao Chenhui, this bastard, looked like a scoundrel. Cynical and seemed to care about nothing. But as long as it involves the face of Longguo, he would not give in. Anyone who dared to insult Longguo in front of him would have to die. Since Lickery had offended Xiao Chenhui and crossed the bottom line in his heart, he had to pay a painful price today. Run. Where to run? Could it be that Lickery would never return to Italy? Time was fermenting. More and more people saw the video played in Milan. Milan is the economic core of Italy. People come and go every day. In just 2 days, the content of this video was spread from Milan to half of Italy. Condemnation of Lickery for not showing up to fulfill his promise intensified. Gazzetta dello Sport could not bear such huge public pressure. It gave Lickery an ultimatum. Either take the initiative to run naked in Brescia, or be kicked out of Gazzetta dello Sport. Lickery, who received the ultimatum, was instantly annoyed. He smashed everything in the house that could be smashed like crazy. It was because of that Longguo kid. This was the second time he had demolished a house. How could he not be annoyed? Lickery's ability to demolish a house with his bare hands was really strong. His ability was not inferior to that of a certain team in Longguo. 80. In a short while, the house was demolished and nothing was left. I'm afraid that the people from Longguo who came with sledgehammers would have to worship him as their master. In the end, Lickery was really forced to do nothing. He had to come to Brescia that day. He walked out naked in a remote corner. He was holding a sign in his hand. There was a line of words written on it in Italian. Longguo football is great. In the impression of foreigners. Longguo's construction is great. Longguo's agriculture is great. Longguo's transportation is great. But Longguo's football is not. Today, Lickery spoke from his own experience and changed people's inherent concepts with practical actions. It's not that he wants to contribute to Longguo football. This was really included in the original bet. But Lickery obviously made a lot of preparations today. There were definitely no clothes or anything like that. But he had hired a painting expert in advance. He painted 3-dimensional paintings on the key parts of his body. The pattern was quite special. It was a baby elephant stretching its trunk to absorb water. It just happened to turn his most embarrassing part into an elephant's trunk. But, the onlookers thought differently. Is that an elephant's trunk? It was clearly a small insect under the claws of a rooster. And it was a pitifully small caterpillar. It was too small. People tried hard to hold back their laughter and told each other. More and more people came to watch. They wanted to come and have a bite of the big melon. So, half of the residents of Brescia went out collectively. They moved with Licori's footsteps. Countless mobile phone cameras were aimed at Licori, who was painting the baby elephant. There were flashes of clicks. I don't know how much memory was killed. Especially the part of the elephant's trunk. You have to focus on it. Since the demise of the ancient Roman Empire, it is not easy to see a living elephant in Italy. Thanks to Licori's creativity of thinking, everyone finally had a feast for the eyes. Must we see enough? Just like that, the biggest melon of the year has ripened. After waiting for more than half a year, I didn't wait for the ripe melon to be exposed in the entertainment industry. Instead, I waited for the shocking melon of the gold medal reporter. You taste it. You taste it carefully. It's really a different style. The weather in late July and early August has started to get hot. In such hot weather, people are content to be melon eaters. It's so cool to eat a big iced melon on a hot day. On the Brescia training ground, a group of little demons laughed so hard that they couldn't straighten their waists. Tonelli fell directly to the ground holding his mobile phone. His other hand kept beating the grass. Tears of laughter came out. Ha 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 ha. Why did this guy bring out the baby elephant instead of asking the monkey for help? It's so funny. Ouch. I can't take it anymore. My stomach hurts from laughing. Dybala was laughing so hard that his legs were bent all over. He couldn't even speak. Berardi and Donnarumma weren't much better. Several new players who joined before the end of last season, with a smile on their faces, they gave Xiao Chenhui a thumbs up. In the joyful atmosphere, they further integrated into the atmosphere of the team. A cheerful atmosphere. It always allows people to get along quickly. It is much easier to be accepted by people than other solemn and confrontational atmospheres. Chapter 130, Preparing for Real Madrid. The new season will start in 5 days. In the Brescia training ground, the young players are sweating profusely under the leadership of Xiao Chenhui. Head coach Inzaghi came over with a complicated look on his face. He stretched out his hand and clapped his hands. The training was temporarily stopped. After all the eyes of the young players fell on him, he opened his mouth 3 times. Finally, he said an amazing news. Guys, after consultation between the club and Real Madrid, we will go to Madrid tomorrow to play a friendly match with them. Hearing the 5 words Real Madrid, the young players' eyes lit up immediately. Did you hear it right? That's the Real Madrid that is famous in the football world. One of the best clubs in the world. To play a friendly match with Brescia? Or an active invitation? How is it possible? If Inzaghi hadn't said this himself, who would believe it? Inzaghi is actually a little dizzy now. Logically speaking, a wealthy club like Real Madrid, even if it is looking for a warm-up match opponent before the game, it is not the turn of Brescia, which has just been promoted to Serie A, right? Why did they take the initiative to send out the invitation to the game? Inzaghi had been thinking about this on the way here. He guessed that it was probably because of Juventus. In the new season of the European Champions League, Real Madrid is likely to meet Juventus, the only team in Serie A. In order to find the opponent's flaws in advance, Real Madrid found Brescia, which is also a Serie A team. Brescia was regarded as an imaginary enemy. Find a way to restrain Juventus in Brescia. After all, in the Italian Cup last season, Brescia defeated the powerful Juventus. Even if this friendly match did not find a way to target Juventus, it didn't matter. It was just a friendly match. There was no loss for Real Madrid. They didn't need to pay money, nor did they have to travel thousands of miles to Brescia. Just treat it as a warm-up before the start of the season. It was just a self-deprecating and playing with Brescia. What loss could there be? Xiao Chenhui, who was very smart, soon thought of this. He was still very excited. Although Real Madrid may not send out all its main players, it is a wealthy team after all. Being able to play against a team of this level is of great benefit to Xiao Chenhui and the young players of Brescia. At least it can broaden their horizons and let them see where they are inferior to the top superstars. Find their own weaknesses, and conduct targeted reinforcement training to achieve a more perfect self. Moreover, one of the peerless duo Cristiano Ronaldo plays for Real Madrid. In the just concluded Samba World Cup, Cristiano Ronaldo was affected by injuries and the coach's deployment of troops. His performance was not good, but this does not mean that he has lost his previous dominance. The fact that the peerless duo has been in the arena for many years and no one has been able to surpass them is enough to explain everything. Jokes like Cristiano Ronaldo has no talent and Messi does not work hard are simply ridiculous. If they have no talent and are not hard-working enough, can they join forces to dominate the world football? If that is the case, the ones who dominate the football world should be the big names of Dragon Country. Without talent and without hard work, who can compare with the big names of Dragon Country? Let's get back to the point. Being able to compete with super absolute superstars like Ronaldo, Xiao Chenhui's blood has been boiling for a long time. Brothers, practice. Tomorrow, our opponent is Real Madrid. Give them all your strength to fight them. The big demon king spoke. The little demons immediately entered the state of preparation. They all have the same head and 2 legs. Who is afraid of whom? Just do it. That afternoon, the news that Real Madrid suddenly wanted to play a friendly match with Brescia flew all over the world, as if it had wings. Reporters from all over the world flocked to Madrid, Spain. Brescia was completely ignored by reporters. It was just a small club that had just been promoted to Serie A. What was there to pay attention to? The one that really attracted the attention of the whole world was Real Madrid. In other words, it was superstars like Ronaldo, Benzema, and Bale. As for who their opponents were, who would care? As long as it was not a supergiant like Barcelona, it would not attract much interest from reporters. Dragon Country. Xiao Chenhui Sports Channel. A certain leader was yelling anxiously, Duan Zuan. Where is Duan Zuan? Hurry up and ask him to take people to Madrid. Make sure to transmit the footage of this highly anticipated game in real time. We have obtained the exclusive broadcasting rights, and the ratings will rise sharply. That's all money. Accidentally, the leader told the truth. For any game related to Real Madrid, the ratings are 30% higher than usual. This is just the starting point. The money is there. Who doesn't want to make a fortune? Those who don't make money are fools. A staff member said weakly. Leader, have you forgotten? Duan Zuan resigned last week. He and Xiao Chenhui are busy with youth training. How can Duan Zuan have time to serve the leader? Go away. A letter of resignation. I'm free from now on. After being reminded, the leader's face turned ugly. He didn't agree with Duan Zuan's resignation. But no one knows what happened to Duan Zuan. He resolutely resigned without asking for anything. What establishment? What benefits? He didn't want anything. Even if the leader wanted to control him, he couldn't. The so-called leader can only control people within the system. Have you ever seen a leader put on airs in front of the people? The people are not under the jurisdiction of the leaders. Even if the leader wants to put on airs, he can't. He bit his back teeth and said with strong resentment, "Where is Ma Fanshu? Let her go." Call Zhang Lu, and he went to explain on the spot. Without Duan Zuan, I can't do this job. It's the same with a new group of people. Leader, Ma Fanshu asked for a months-long vacation, which was approved by you personally. Have you forgotten it again? Duan Zuan couldn't handle the youth training alone. Ma Fanshu asked for a long vacation to help. The leader didn't agree with Ma Fanshu asking for a month's leave. Coincidentally, Xiao Han called the leader personally. It seemed that he mentioned casually on the phone that Ma Fanshu was the daughter of his best friend. He asked the leader to take care of her. After hanging up the phone, the leader signed Ma Fanshu's leave application. At that time, he smiled and said to Ma Fanshu, "Fanshu, is 1 month's leave enough? Do you want me to give you a few more days off so that you can have a good rest?" If Ma Fanshu hadn't insisted on only 1 month, the leader would probably have changed Ma Fanshu's leave to more than 3 months. But he is a bit frustrated now. Duan Zuan resigned. Ma Fanshu asked for leave. He was really caught off guard. It's really annoying. In the end, the leader roared with a face as black as the bottom of a pot. "Are your brains full of paste? Go to the hospital if you have water accumulation." Do I need to tell you one by one about this? No matter who you arrange, get to Madrid immediately. You can't broadcast the real-time video of this game. Get out of here. The leader's in a voiceover. I can't control ordinary people. Can't I control you people in the system? Your indentures are in my hands. If you have the guts, just quit like Duan Zuan. I've spoiled you with bad habits. Chapter 131. Tensions inside and outside the field. Hiwei and Liu Jiayuan, who were temporarily sent by Xiao Sports TV, arrived in Madrid in a dusty state. Zhang Lu was originally designated by the leaders of Xiao Sports TV. However, Zhang Lu was not an employee of Xiao Sports TV. She was too old to travel long distances. Finally, Hiwei and Liu Jiayuan were temporarily replaced. They were both from Xiao Sports TV. It was easy to deal with. They had to do whatever the leaders said. Want to have some ideas of their own. That was just overthinking. Football poet Hiwei could only read poems to the fans. Want to write a poem to the leader? Who would listen to him? Why is the autumn wind sad for the painted fan? In the eyes of the leader, it is a decadent sound of sadness for the spring and autumn. This style is not acceptable. After a night flight, Hiwei and Liu Jiayuan finally arrived at their destination before the game. After a series of communications and consultations with Real Madrid staff, they finally squeezed into the press area of the Bernabeu Stadium. You don't know until you come. You're shocked when you come. It's just a pre-match warm-up match. There were actually 3 digits of reporters at the scene. There were all kinds of skin colors. I don't know if it was a coincidence or the staff did it on purpose. Their seats were arranged next to the reporters from Sakura country. Seeing the 2 reporters from Dragon country coming, several reporters from Sakura country immediately said proudly, Real Madrid is definitely a great club. And our young player Nake Takude joined this great club after going through layers of screening in September last year. Yes, Nake Takude is very favored by the head coach in Real Madrid's B team. And our young player also plays for another supergiant Barcelona. Are you talking about Kubo Takefusa-kun? As early as 2011, Takefusa-kun had already joined the Barcelona youth team. In a few years, we will be able to see him playing in the La Liga. Hiwei and Liu Jiayuan, who had just arrived, immediately felt very irritated. In front of them, openly versus. The most annoying thing is that Dragon country's football strength is not as good as Sakura country's. Youth training is also not as good as this. They wanted to refute, but couldn't find any arguments to refute. There was silence for half a minute. Football poet Hiwei suddenly turned his head and looked at Liu Jiayuan beside him. He said, if I remember correctly, our country's Xiao Chenhui should be the first East Asian player to step onto the Bernabeu field, right? Liu Jiayuan was obviously stunned. He thought seriously for a long time. It seems, it's really like this. La Liga is the league with the most gorgeous playing style among the 5 major European leagues. Players who play in La Liga must be a small group of top players with outstanding footwork. With the level of Asian players, it is easiest to make a name for yourself in the Bundesliga, where the technology is relatively rough. The second is the Premier League, which has a similar style to the Bundesliga, and Serie A, which is famous for its reinforced concrete structure. Relatively speaking, the style of La Liga is the most difficult for Asian players to adapt. Among Asian players, there is only Nekanan from Iran, who can play as a main player in La Liga. People like Nakamura Shunsuke from Sakura country can only be said to be supporting roles among supporting roles. How can a soy sauce person be qualified to step on the Bernabeu Stadium? So, looking at East Asia and even the whole of Asia, the number of people who can stand on the Bernabeu Stadium to play can be counted on 2 fingers. One is the former Neri Kenan. The other is Xiao Chenhui, who will soon compete with the supergiants of Real Madrid. And Neri Kenan is Iranian. Geographically speaking, he does not belong to East Asia. Then the first East Asian who is qualified to stand here, naturally, it is Xiao Chenhui from Longguo. As for what the reporters of Sakura country said about Takefusa Kubo and Takude Nake, they are just young players in the youth team. Whether they can be retained by the two giants Real Madrid and Barcelona is still a big question mark. Even if they can be retained, it will be a few years before they want to officially play in the game. How to compare with Xiao Chenhui? Let's be clear, okay. Our Longguo Xiao Chenhui and his Brescia, but Real Madrid took the initiative to invite them. Liu Jiayuan showed an unconcealable smile on his face. He is worthy of being called a football poet. You are so polite in your way of arguing with others. You are the one who is quick-witted. The staff who came with them happened to have set up the video equipment. They transmitted the scene just now back to Longguo through real-time images. Many Longguo fans applauded. It was so exciting. The little bastards who are living a good life should be harassed harshly. If they are not harassed, how can they tell who is the ancestor? These shameless grandsons deserve to be harassed. Many fans waiting on the internet shouted, "Brother Hui. Score 1. Brother Hui. Score 1. Use goals to slap the little bastards' faces that are thicker than the city wall. Let the little bastards know that we have stars in Longguo too. Longguo is sacred and cannot be violated. Brother Hui is a warrior who defends his country. He is a lone brave man walking in the dark." It was originally an ordinary warm-up match. But because of the arrogance of several reporters from Sakura country, it was interpreted as a battle to defend Longguo. Xiao Chenhui passively became a Han elite soldier defending the Great Wall. Look at what happened. But even if Xiao Chenhui knew about it, he would take on this task without hesitation. The stimulation from the reporters from Sakura country only made him more excited. The confrontation outside the field was also tense inside the field. Ronaldo, who was training, felt that someone was looking at him. Looking back, Xiao Chenhui's young face came into his sight. Who is this? With Ronaldo's status as a big boss in the football world, he certainly doesn't know who was the top scorer in Serie B last season. I'm afraid even the top scorer in Serie A is not in his eyes. But this did not prevent Ronaldo from seeing the strong fighting spirit in Xiao Chenhui's eyes. That feeling was like a young bullfighter who had just made his debut. He pointed the rapier in his hand at the bullfighter king who had been famous for many years, and threw a pair of white gloves to the ground. He challenged the king. Prepare to perform a bullfighter dance in front of the strongest king. Ronaldo's eyes sank slightly. He glanced at the number on Xiao Chenhui's shorts. Number 21. It turned out to be the boy from Dragon Country who was dubbed Magic. According to legend, he is the third person who is most likely to break the dominance of himself and Messi in the football world in the future. Ronaldo's interest and fighting spirit rose at the same time. His eyes suddenly became sharp. He gave Xiao Chenhui a look of welcoming the challenge. Aren't you going to challenge my king status? I'll give you this chance. But when the duel is over, whether you can still stand or not, it depends on how capable you are. Chapter 132. This is not a warm-up match. Amid the anticipation of countless people, the players from both teams began to enter the field. Liu Jiaoan introduced the starting lineups of both teams to the camera. Xiao Sports Channel. Xiao Sports Channel. Hello everyone, I'm Liu Jiaoan. I'm now at the Bernabeu Stadium in Madrid, Spain, with Coach Hui to commentate on the pre-match warm-up match between Real Madrid and Brescia. The players of both sides have already started the game, and this is a starting lineup for Real Madrid. The star striker Cristiano Ronaldo leads number 9 Benzema and number 11 Bale. This is also the BBC trident combination we are familiar with. The starters in the midfield position are number 10 James Rodriguez, number 6 German beast Khedira, and the core of the midfield number 19 Modric. On the backline, Monk Pete continues to partner with Waterlord Ramos to form the central defender combination of Real Madrid. No 12 Marcelo and number 15 Carvajal, who secured the position of the main right back last season, are on both sides. In the goalkeeper position, the undisputed main goalkeeper Casillas did not appear, and he was replaced by number 13 Navas. And Brescia's starting lineup is full of vigor and vitality. Our Chinese players Xiao Chenhui, number 27 Quagliarella and number 11 Berardi are the forwards. The midfielders are number 10 Dybala, number 20 Tonali and number 17 Gagliardini. The defenders from left to right are number 3 Rafael Guerrero, number 2 Skriniar, number 26 Koulibaly, and number 4 Mario Fernandes. The goalkeeper is the main goalkeeper number 1 Andre Nassi. Hui said, Real Madrid is obviously stronger than Brescia. Compared with the BBC combination on the front line, Real Madrid did not send all the main players in the midfield. However, number 10 James Rodriguez, who just joined the team this season, is also known as James Rodriguez. His strength should not be underestimated. He shined in the Samba World Cup that ended not long ago, scored 6 goals, and won the Golden Boot for the best scorer. The coach Ancelotti sent James Rodriguez to the field, and his intention was very clear. He wanted to use this game to let him quickly integrate into the team and adapt to the team's technical and tactical play. Through the starting lineups of both sides, we can see that Real Madrid is still very serious about this warm-up match. Brescia also sent out all its elite players, without leaving any behind. So we have reason to expect this to be a sparkling and exciting game. And I caught a detail before the game. Our players Xiao Chenhui and Real Madrid star player Cristiano Ronaldo had eye contact. For us Longguo fans, this is also a highlight of this game. There are as many people in Longguo who support Messi as there are people who hate Ronaldo, and vice versa. The debate about who is the best in the world of football seems to have never stopped. But this also proves that the peerless duo has a large number of fans in Longguo. And now, Xiao Chenhui from Longguo is about to have a direct dialogue with Ronaldo on the field. Such a topic instantly became a hot topic. Ignite the fire in the hearts of all the Longguo fans. Once upon a time, they could only look up at the demeanor of the peerless duo on the screen. Who would have thought that there would be such a day? A Longguo player would become the opponent of one of the peerless duo? So, whether it is Messi's die-hard fans or Ronaldo's fans, they changed their positions without looking back. They uniformly formed a temporary cheering group for Xiao Chenhui, who made Xiao Chenhui a Longguo person. Who else should we support if not him? Beep. The game officially started. Brescia, who played away, kicked off first. Xiao Chenhui passed the ball back to Dybala. Then he just turned around. He saw a white whirlwind blowing in front of him. Ronaldo. From the beginning of the game, the domineering president showed the domineering he should have. He used his actions to warn Xiao Chenhui, "This is the Bernabeu. It is my Cristiano Ronaldo's territory." Xiao Chenhui silently said, "Great. Are you running to me to declare your sovereignty? Even if you are Cristiano Ronaldo, that won't work. I'm going to fight you today." Xiao Chenhui took a step forward and stood firmly in front of Cristiano Ronaldo. Their eyes met. Their brilliance was radiant. "What are you looking at? What's wrong with looking at you?" Monica on the sidelines quickly directed the staff around her to take a close-up shot. The scene of the confrontation between the two men was filmed. The confrontation between the two leading players on the field did not affect the continuation of the game. After receiving the ball, Dybala was not in a hurry to rush forward. Instead, he waited for Quagliarella and Berardi on the two sides to start first. Then he calmly cooperated with Tonali in the midfield. Obviously, the Brescia Demons entered the state earlier than the Real Madrid players. The big names of Real Madrid have not yet opened their formation. The Brescia Demons began to launch an assault. After a brief eye contact with Xiao Chenhui, Ronaldo expressed his dissatisfaction with his teammates with a raw move. Don't give the opponent any chance. People who don't like Ronaldo can say that he will do anything to win. In fact, he is just an ordinary player. It's just that his desire for victory is much stronger than that of ordinary people. If you have to say that he is different from ordinary players, it is that he is richer. Very rich. But every penny he earns is earned by his hard work. No one can question it. Hearing Ronaldo's roar, the big names of Real Madrid shook off their pace. They split into several groups and rushed towards Brescia's little demons. The two full-backs Marcelo and Carvajal went to Quagliarella and Berardi separately. They immediately restricted their invasion on the sidelines. Modric and Khedira, who were in the midfield, intercepted Dybala on his way forward. Temporarily cut off the connection between Dybala and Xiao Chenhui. Seeing that his teammates showed their due strength, a satisfied arc appeared at the corners of Ronaldo's mouth. He stopped fighting with Xiao Chenhui. He started to move towards Brescia's backcourt at a fast speed. It was like a white lightning flashed on the field. The 29-year-old Ronaldo was not the Ronaldo who became popular for 3 years. His body fat percentage has been maintained at around 7% for many years. He is at his peak at this age. Xiao Chenhui looked at Ronaldo, who was running, with some surprise. He felt that Ronaldo's 100-meter speed was not much slower than his own. At least it was at the level of 10.5 seconds for 100 meters. He is worthy of being one of the peerless duo. In the slow-paced Apennines, Xiao Chenhui rarely encountered a fast horse with the same speed as himself. He felt a bit like looking down on the mountains. Ronaldo's start instantly eliminated Xiao Chenhui's biggest advantage. Although he had already estimated Ronaldo's ability high enough, He found out after the real contact. Ronaldo was stronger than he thought. And Ronaldo's attitude also reflected the reaction of the Real Madrid players. This is a tough battle. How can it be a warm-up match? Exclamation mark. Chapter 133 King's Duel. Beep. The first half of the game was over. The players of both sides walked to the locker room with a score of 2:45 minutes ago. No one had ever thought that the two sides would end up in a tie at the end of the first half. Real Madrid is an absolute giant. There are superstars and even superstars in every position of the team. And there are more than one. But what is Brescia? It is a real small club. After lying dormant in Serie B for several years, it was finally promoted to Serie A this year. It is an absolute newly promoted team. Except for Quagliarella, who is still somewhat famous. There is no world-class star in the team. There is not even a first-class European player. Who would have thought that they would fight so fiercely with Real Madrid? Only 7 minutes into the first half, Modric, who was in form, made a long diagonal pass to Benzema. Benzema headed the ball. It was passed to Ronaldo, who cut inside. Ronaldo shot the ball. Real Madrid scored the first goal 3 minutes later. Brescia's Demon King Xiao Chenhui immediately responded. After receiving the pass from Quagliarella, he made an unreasonable kick. He turned halfway and volleyed the ball into the goal guarded by Navas. The score was tied. He commented on his goal. It was the first time in history that a nation player scored at the Bernabeu. The passionate goal and the passionate commentary instantly excited the fans. In the original history, the Korean star Son Heung-min would break this record in 2018. Xiao Chenhui's goal brought the historic scene forward by a full 4 years. In the 29th minute, Real Madrid made a comeback. Marcelo, who assisted from the left, showed his true colors as a defender with a knife. He dribbled past Gagliardini and Mario Fernandes, who were filling in on the right. A 45-degree cross accurately found Ronaldo, who was running to the center position. Ronaldo jumped high to receive the ball. With amazing jumping ability, he overpowered Skriniar. The fierce header broke through and Rennes's fingers, leaving Rennes with nothing but size. But 3 minutes later, in the 32nd minute of the game, Brescia's right back Mario Fernandes made up for his mistake. He boldly dribbled forward and assisted. He also shook off Marcelo, who was better at attacking than defending. He made a beautiful return of the favor. Then he passed the ball to Berardi on the wing. Berardi kicked the ball to the middle near the baseline. Xiao Chenhui rushed into the penalty area unstoppably. He jumped up, as if a spring was pressed under his feet. He pressed the 31-year-old monk peep down. He rode on his shoulders to complete the lion's head shaking action. He smashed the football into the goal behind Navas. The score was tied for the second time. Real Madrid scored 1 goal. Brescia scored 1. To be precise, it should be that every time Ronaldo scored a goal, Xiao Chenhui would chase a goal in the same way. Did you shoot and score? I also shoot hard. You play high altitude bombing? I will shake my head like a lion. The whole process of scoring in the first half. It was almost the same as copying and pasting. See Ronaldo, who walked to the edge of the field, suddenly stopped. He turned his head and looked at Xiao Chenhui, who was walking over. He said with a burning gaze, "You are very good, but not enough. I will beat you in the second half." It seemed that he was afraid that Xiao Chenhui could not understand the language of Portugal. He deliberately spoke in English, which is universally used worldwide. He had played for Manchester United in the Premier League for many years. His English level was still very standard. Xiao Chenhui's eyes were also burning with vigorous fighting spirit. He said in English, neither humble nor arrogant, "Wait for you." See Ronaldo suddenly smiled. The look on his face was not only eager for victory, but also had a little more appreciation. He seemed to see the same aura in Xiao Chenhui as himself. That was the desire to never give up on victory. Coincidentally, this scene was filmed by Monica again. Then it began to spread wildly on the internet. Thousands of mountains and rivers cannot block the speed of network transmission. It soon spread to the Dragon Country fans. Look everyone. Our brother Hui is no worse than C. Ronaldo. Hey, can you be more modest? There is still a slight gap, but it is not easy for Xiao Chenhui to achieve this. Hey, how many years has C. Ronaldo dominated the football world? How old is brother Hui? Only 18 years old. Give brother Hui another 3 to 5 years to try. I have said it before, the future hope of Longguo football lies in brother Hui. No brother Hui, no football. In the future, I will never watch any Longguo competition without brother Hui. It will make me upset. Alas. It's a pity that the people in the Pig Association have issued a ban. Brother Hui has no way to serve the country, not knowing the value of a piece of golden jade. I'm talking about those bastards who only know how to take money, but can't do anything. I hope those people in the Pig Association can really open their eyes and take a look. Is there any better player in Longguo than Xiao Chenhui? Don't be unhappy. Have you noticed the expressions of those reporters in the press area? They are uglier than crying. I guess their faces must be swollen from being beaten by brother Hui. What Kubo Takafusa? What Nake Takude? Get lost. I just want to know, how could a small-time reporter appear in our country's broadcast? I don't believe that he went and Liu Jio and didn't do it on purpose. Haha, the guy upstairs is so insightful. He's really good at judging people. From the whistle at the end of the first half to the start of the second half, the bullet screams of Dragon Country fans never stopped. The endless fallen leaves rustled. Endless bullet screams rolled in. So many keyboards died for their country. The game resumed. Real Madrid took the lead. Benzema knocked the ball back to James Rodriguez. Then he turned and ran to the front court. His stride seemed much lighter than in the first half. Benzema is a player with very distinctive characteristics. When he is in good shape, he is Benzema Tiger. When he is better, he is Benzema Tyrannosaurus Rex. But when he is in bad shape, he has another name. It is called Benzema Cat. In such an insignificant warm-up match, Benzema really couldn't get excited. So his performance in the first half can only be described as Benzema's performance. It was just average. If it weren't for Ronaldo's constant roar to motivate his teammates, it's estimated that Benzema would definitely fall into the state of Benzema the Cat. Another person in the BBC, Gareth Bale, had the same attitude as Benzema. The two of them only played 60% or 70% of their strength in the game. After getting the ball, they didn't have much desire to attack. Passing the ball to Ronaldo was the end of the matter. Otherwise, Brescia would have fallen behind by a large margin in the first half. But at halftime, Coach Ancelotti hadn't said anything yet. Ronaldo stood up and started to lecture. He had only one goal, to win. So at the beginning of the second half, Benzema began to take it seriously. Not to mention Benzema the Tyrannosaurus Rex. At least he had the tendency to transform into Benzema the Tiger. After running a distance, Benzema stopped and turned around. Modric happened to pass the ball to him at the right time. Benzema leaned against Tonali who was defending him with his back. The ball was passed to the side. Bale, who looked like the Monkey King, arrived like a cloud. He began his performance on the cloud. When running without the ball, his 100-meter speed was no less than that of Ronaldo. Even faster. Don't forget that Bale had not yet undergone the subsequent injury repair. Speed is his biggest advantage. Gagliardini, who was assisting in the wing, couldn't catch up with him at all. He was left behind in an instant. The newly joined left back Rafael Guerreiro rushed up quickly, but Bale dribbled the ball unreasonably and passed it to him. The two defenders on the Brescia side, together, they couldn't stop Bale for even a second. However, just when Bale was about to rush to the front of the Brescia penalty area with the ball, a blue-white lightning came diagonally at a speed faster than Bale. A clean tackle. The ball was blocked from the feet of the unstoppable Bale. Number 21. Xiao Chenhui. I heard that Bale's 100-meter speed is 10.37 seconds. Sorry, my 100-meter time is 10.23 seconds. Chapter 134. The Cunning Inzaghi. Xiao Chenhui's sliding tackle touched the ball first, and then it reached Bale. So it was not a foul. Bale, who was lying on the ground, turned his head and looked at Xiao Chenhui. He muttered to himself, "This kid is too fierce. His 100-meter speed is faster than mine? Is it really that exaggerated?" He was still lying on the ground wondering. A certain living animal struggled to stand up from the ground. He took a big step and caught up with the football that was about to go out. His arm suddenly raised forward. He transmitted the signal to his teammates. Attack. How about the Bernabeu? How about the Galacticos? The Brescia Demons like to run wild on other people's territory. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. 3 figures rushed forward quickly. Quagliarella and Berardi on the side, and Dybala in the middle. The 3 people were like 3 arrows that had left the string. They never looked back. The Real Madrid players were still immersed in the rhythm of the attack. They failed to block in time. Brescia got a great opportunity for a quick counter-attack. Xiao Chenhui strode forward. Even though Bale was chasing him relentlessly on his cloud, he refused to look back. A strange scene appeared on the field. Xiao Chenhui was running ahead with the ball. Bale, who was famous for his speed in the world of football, was chasing him relentlessly behind him. The two were like 2 intercontinental missiles flying across the Pacific Ocean. They were also like Erlang Shen and Sun Wukong fighting. They flew up into the clouds and missed. They rushed straight into the sky. They killed everyone in a rage. However, since Xiao Chenhui was the first to start, when Bale got up from the ground, Xiao Chenhui had already run a short distance. So Bale used all his strength to chase him for more than 40 meters. He still failed to catch up with Xiao Chenhui in front of him. He was always a little bit behind. Bale watched Xiao Chenhui dodging in front of him. Marcel turn. He shook off Benzema, who was not good at defending. He pulled the ball with his feet. He passed James Rodriguez, who rushed up. Fried meatballs. Modric's steal was in vain. Then, with violent speed, he ate Real Madrid's beastly midfielder Khedira alive. He made a declaration as fast as the wind. Don't say you are a beast monster. You are a monster. I will take you down just the same. In the assault of passing 5 levels and killing 6 generals, Xiao Chenhui ran wildly from his own backcourt to the opponent's backcourt. He was about to enter the penalty area of Real Madrid. Monk Peep and Waterlord Ramos both rushed out of the penalty area and made a double teaming defense. Looking at the entire La Liga, there are probably only a handful of people who can make them feel like they are facing a great enemy. In the past, it was football elf Ronaldinho. Now it is Barcelona's flag Leo Messi. But in addition to them, there is now another Xiao Chenhui on this list. Seeing their fierce actions, Xiao Chenhui thought for a while, and his ankle suddenly shook. He pushed the football under his feet lightly and handed it to Quagliarella on the wing. Don't think that Xiao Chenhui has made it all the way to the opponent's hinterland. That's because Benzema, James Rodriguez and others are offensive players. They are not good at defense. Among the 4 people Xiao Chenhui passed, only Khedira is a pure defensive player. Relatively speaking, it is easier to break through. But Peep and Ramos are not so easy to deal with. The defensive ability of this central defender combination is enough to rank in the top 10 of La Liga alone. The 2 of them together are even more than 1+1. Xiao Chenhui didn't want to waste this counter-attack opportunity. Naturally, he would not fight against the 2 of them. Not to mention that Bale was chasing closely behind him. Bale was born as a fullback. Later, he moved forward step by step to the wing forward and winger. His defensive ability is not weak. Peep and Ramos, who rushed over, did not expect that Xiao Chenhui, who had been unstoppable all the way, suddenly cowarded. They had already made the move, and it was too late for them to make any changes. Watching the football rolling by, it came to Quagliarella. The right back against Quagliarella was the young Carvajal. Carvajal, only 22 years old, had just returned from training in Leverkusen in the Bundesliga last season. He had not yet grown into the defensive general he would become. Facing the experienced Quagliarella, he seemed to be at a disadvantage. Quagliarella only saw him dribble and dribble. A few extremely confusing fake moves shook Carvajal off. There was no space for shooting. What is Quagliarella's strongest ability? Long shot. In the Italian Cup match between Brescia and Juventus last season, Quagliarella showed his ability to shoot from a distance. Violent volleys, light lobs, inside instep wraps, outside instep ricochets. All kinds of long-range shooting skills are at his fingertips. At the 2010 World Cup in South Africa, Quagliarella's long-range lobs in the last few minutes were very impressive. At the World Cup, the highest hall of football events, he can score a juggling lob. What's more, in a warm-up match with no pressure, aim, kick, shoot, the football broke away from Quagliarella's instep. It drew a strange arc in the air. It turned and ran towards the goal guarded by Navas. Navas was stunned. This long shot was floating. Which direction would it fall? Navas stared at the flying football. He quickly judged the landing point of the football. After a brief observation and thinking, Navas moved. He pushed the ground hard with both feet. He jumped up on the goal line. He rushed to the upper right corner. However, at the same time he made the move, the football in the air suddenly seemed to lose gravity. There was a clear drop. Navas was caught off guard. He could only watch the football pass through his armpit. It whizzed into the goal. Brescia overtook the score 3-2. It took the lead for the first time in this game. After scoring the goal, Quagliarella excitedly ran towards Xiao Chenhui. He hugged his waist and lifted him up. Even for Quagliarella, who had played in the World Cup, being able to score a goal at the Bernabeu Stadium was something that made him very excited. He naturally had to thank the captain who assisted him. Xiao Chenhui, who was held in the air, did not take credit. He stretched out his hands and pointed to the top of Quagliarella's head. He indicated to his teammates that the credit for the ball belonged entirely to Quagliarella. Xiao Chenhui's action made the Brescia Demons smile knowingly. There is no way. The atmosphere in the team is so harmonious. Who made us have a good captain? The head coach Inzaghi on the sidelines also smiled. Half of it was joy. Half of it was bitterness. It is certainly worth being happy that Brescia has taken the lead. But Inzaghi knows very well that Real Madrid's real offensive is about to come. As a traditional giant, they will never allow anyone to easily take away the victory at the Bernabeu. Even if it is just a warm-up match. What's more, the star player of Real Madrid is Cristiano Ronaldo. He is a man who never admits defeat. After thinking for a few seconds, Inzaghi asked the linesman for a substitution. He replaced Gagliardini and sent Kimmich to play as a defensive midfielder. The newly joined Gagliardini is young. He lacks serious game experience. The cooperation with his teammates is still a little unfamiliar. As a result, Tonali, who is front defensive midfielder, dared not let go to attack, and Marcelo's cross and Bale's breakthrough before happened on his side. Of course, it doesn't mean that Gagliardini has insufficient potential or strength. It's that he needs more time to adapt to the team's style of play and get familiar with the characteristics of his teammates. Relatively speaking, Kimmich is better. After all, he has been running in the team for more than half a season. He is already familiar with Xiao Chenhui and others. Inzaghi's substitution is not only a tactical adjustment, it is also intended to delay time. The lagging Real Madrid players must be furious at this moment. I wanted to rush over and smash the goal guarded by Henri Nassi. In this case, let's kill some time by changing players and let their anger cool down. In a football match, it's not just about the strength of the players on both sides. Sometimes you need a little bit of cunning. Chapter 135, Run and Gun Tactics System. After Kimmich came on the field, he conveyed the tactical arrangement of the head coach Inzaghi to his teammates. Within 5 minutes, defend all the way. Withstand the fierce attack of Real Madrid. The game started again. Just as Inzaghi expected. The big names of Real Madrid, led by the domineering president Cristiano Ronaldo, launched a crazy attack. Everyone began to become serious. Benzema completely evolved into the Benzema Tiger. Bale was more jubilant on the wing. James Rodriguez brought out the performance he had in the World Cup a month ago. Bombardment. The immature side of the Brescia Demons was inevitably exposed. They were young and faced the massive attack of Real Madrid, which was full of big names. It was impossible to say that they were not panicked at all. Some things must be precipitated over time to be beautiful. For example, aged wine. For example, game experience. The Brescia Demons tried their best. They ran wildly without sparing their physical strength. They blocked the attack of Real Madrid again and again. However, after 4 minutes and 30 seconds, the position was still lost. The BBC team made a series of dazzling cooperation in the front court. They tore through the multiplayer defense line of Brescia. Ronaldo cleverly passed the ball with his heel. He passed the ball to James Rodriguez, who was advancing. James, who was called JLUO by the Dragon fans, met the ball and shot it. The football whizzed over the head of Koulibaly. It brushed the fingertips of Henri Nassi and plunged into the goal. James Rodriguez proved to everyone with his actions that Quagliarella was not the only one who could play long shots. Real Madrid tied the score. The gloomy face of head coach Ancelotti finally melted a little. With a wave of the flag, James Rodriguez, who had just scored a goal, was replaced by another newcomer, Toni Kroos. He also joined the team just before the season. Real Madrid spent €30 million to buy him from the Bundesliga giants Bayern Munich. He is a midfielder who can make long distance passes accurately to centimeters. He is a genius who believes in you run around, I lose if you can't pass the ball. Ancelotti values Kroos's organization and dispatching ability. This is a warm-up match after all. Observing the players and adjusting the formation are the most important. James Rodriguez has already proved his worth of €80 million. He doesn't need to stay on the field. It has to be said. A rich club is a rich club. Just James Rodriguez and Kroos cost more than €100 million. If it were Brescia, it would probably take 10 years. You have to know that Inzaghi only spent €10 million in the transfer window this summer, 10 million to buy 7 people. Compared with Real Madrid's more than 100 million to buy 2 people. How to compare? It's simply rich and inhumane. If it weren't for the wrong occasion, Inzaghi couldn't help but say to Florentino, the helmsman of Real Madrid, brother Xiao, let's be friends. No. The game is not over yet. My own disciples are still fighting hard on the field. How can I think about these things? Inzaghi quickly put away the idea of making friends with someone. Put your attention back on the game. Put your palms up to your mouth. Take a deep breath. The lion roar technique suddenly started. Come here. Ha! Exclamation mark. The author entered the wrong set. Inzaghi said that I clearly shouted. Plan B, hearing that the head coach has not given up. The Brescia demons seemed to have found the backbone. The nervous mood gradually stabilized. Xiao Chenhui even encouraged his teammates in Italian. Don't give up. Their biggest weakness is that they are strong in offense and weak in defense. We still have a chance. The demons thought carefully. That's the truth. Everyone knows that Florentino is committed to building a gorgeous galactic battleship. The players in the Real Madrid team must not only be famous and strong, they must also be good looking and have a good image. The most important thing is that the style of play must be gorgeous. Even the defenders must be like this. His team building ideas have led to an extremely unbalanced offense and defense in Real Madrid. Although the strategy of Zidane plus Pavon in the early years is a thing of the past, it still reflects his team building style. The front court must be full of superstars. As for the back court, just promote a few people from the youth team. Besides, aren't Ramos and Pepe still old? No need to change them. Today's Galactico second retains the characteristics of the first phase, which is better at attack than defense. A typical copperhead iron tail and tofu waist. Didn't you see that Florentino spent more than 100 million on signings this summer? Are they all for the front court? He is not willing to invest a lot of money in the backline. Brescia's backline really can't withstand the impact of BBC. But can your Real Madrid backline definitely withstand the blows of Brescia's young demons? Not necessarily. Mobilize Ramos and Pepe through active running and pulling. Make them lose their positions. The remaining 3 Marcelos can't defend against one Marcelo's Marcelo. And the young brat Carvajal. What else can he do? Ancelotti. Even if you are my former teacher, I'm sorry for you today. Inzaghi's tactical arrangement was quickly implemented. Xiao Chenhui, Quagliarella, and Berardi were on the front line. In addition, the shadow striker Dybala played a game of displacement. No one had a fixed position. Sometimes he ran to the middle to get the ball. Sometimes he ran to the side to break through. Ramos and Pepe were inexplicably irritated. These guys. Do you have energy, but nowhere to use it? Why are you running back and forth? Don't you know we are old? Messing around. Looking at the Brescia demons running around on the field, Ronaldo's eyes suddenly revealed an emotion called nostalgia. In the 3 seasons from 2006 to 2009, Ronaldo, who was still playing for Manchester United, reached the first peak of his life. There, he won a series of championship trophies, including the highest honor of European clubs, the Champions League. At that time, Manchester United, led by Sir Alex Ferguson, led by Cristiano Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez and others, created the run and gun system tactics. In the uninterrupted interspersed running, they repeatedly pulled the opponent's defense line, looking for a good opportunity to kill the opponent with one sword. During that period, Countless strong teams fell to Manchester United one after another, including Chelsea, which was injected with huge money by Ibrahimović, and whose defense was ingrained into its bones by Mourinho. Facing Chelsea's impregnable defense, even the dream team second Barcelona had no way. But in the end, they were beaten down by Manchester United led by Ferguson in the Champions League. It can be seen how powerful the run and gun tactics are. But Cristiano Ronaldo did not expect that when he saw this tactical system again many years later, it turned out to be on the opponent. No one knows better than Cristiano Ronaldo how difficult it is to do the run and gun tactics. Not only does it require the players in the midfield and front court to have a tacit understanding. Moreover, the players in each position must have a certain degree of endurance and speed. It is also a great test for the players to control their footwork and awareness of running positions when passing and receiving the ball. So since Ronaldo, Tevez and others left Manchester United one after another, the run and gun tactics have gradually disappeared. Therefore, Ronaldo was very surprised. How did these unknown little demons of Brescia do it? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136 The Wall Collapsed. Run and gun tactic is similar to the tiki-taka that is popular in Barcelona. Both of them organize the offense through continuous passing. But there are also essential differences. Run and gun pays more attention to active aggression. Running should also be more active. To put it bluntly, it is to disrupt the opponent's defense line at all costs. In the running and gunning of the Brescia Demons, Ramos and Pep gradually lost their composure. Instead of robbing Peter to pay Paul, let them run around to fill positions everywhere. It is better to have a good time. The monk's hot temper came up when Xiao Chenhui took the ball to the front of the penalty area again. Pep ran out of the penalty area in anger. He showed the Shaolin spring kick that he learned from Longguo. From behind, he kicked Xiao Chenhui on his calf. Xiao Chenhui fell to the ground. Seeing this scene, Inzaghi's face immediately darkened. According to his experience, Pep might cause Xiao Chenhui to leave the field with a serious injury. It was just a warm-up match. As for the dirty kick, can't afford to lose, or what? If it affects Xiao Chenhui's career, who will take the responsibility? Captain. Captain. The Brescia youngsters also exclaimed. Their eyes were full of anger when they looked at Pep. Dybala, who was closest to Xiao Chenhui, was about to catch up to check the situation. Suddenly, he saw Xiao Chenhui's right hand raised, pointing to the empty space behind Pep. Dybala resisted the urge to go forward and ran in the direction pointed by Xiao Chenhui. Before Dybala ran to the position, Xiao Chenhui, who was lying on the ground, hooked the ball with his ankle. The football went through Pep's crotch. It rolled diagonally not far in front of Dybala. Pep was regretting that he had kicked Xiao Chenhui down in a moment of impulse just now. After all, this was just an insignificant warm-up match. Because of such a game, Xiao Chenhui was injured and left the field. Pep also felt a little sorry. It was just that he was overwhelmed by anger just now. Without thinking, he kicked from behind. Who would have thought that Xiao Chenhui had already fallen to the ground? He actually had a trick up his sleeve. If he wanted to turn around and chase Dybala at this moment, it would be too late. Ramos stepped forward and blocked him. He laid himself on the lawn. He chose to lie flat. He used his body as a human wall to block the shot. But is that the end? Dybala made a move. It was a fake shot and a real pass. He passed the ball to Quagliarella, who cut into the penalty area from the side. The young Carvajal was unable to keep an eye on Quagliarella's erratic movement. Quagliarella had a single shot. Real Madrid goalkeeper Navas had also been a main player for a period of time before. He played against Juventus in the Champions League. He was very clear about Quagliarella's characteristics. He knew that Quagliarella was an alternative striker who was more threatening the farther away from the goal. If it was someone else who went straight in, Navas might have been a little nervous. But facing Quagliarella, who is not very good at single-handed shots, Navas is really not afraid at all. He quickly moved to the near corner of the goal. He made a half-squat posture. He opened his arms as wide as possible on both sides of his body. He stared at Quagliarella's steps. He silently issued a challenge. Come on. Come here. Do you know my nickname? Nadu Wall. Let's find out. Navas was born in Costa Rica, a weak football country. The national team ranking has been outside the top 50 for many years. It has only risen in the past year. What's the reason? It's because of Navas. He defended the dignity of Costa Rica with wonderful saves again and again. He helped Costa Rica enter the just concluded Samba World Cup and played a stable and eye-catching performance in the World Cup. From the group stage to the quarterfinals, Navas made 32 successful saves in the 5 games he participated in. An average of 6.4 saves per game. The save success rate is as high as 89. People call him Navas the Wall. As long as he guards the goal, people will always feel very relieved. If Real Madrid did not have another super goalkeeper Casillas, Navas would have long since become the #1 main goalkeeper. Seeing Navas ready to fight to the death, Quagliarella hesitated a little. He knew his own situation best. Long shots were his forte, but close-range shots, Quagliarella was not 100% sure, especially when facing the Navas the Wall who was good at saving. Here, the familiar call entered Quagliarella's ears. Quagliarella showed joy. He quickly locked onto a blue and white figure with the corner of his eyes. He passed the ball under his feet without hesitation. Navas was instantly depressed. What's going on? I have already set up the formation. You suddenly told me not to shoot. How can you be like this? Navas was extremely depressed. He quickly adjusted his steps and moved to the far corner. At the same time, he slightly raised his head and looked at the blue and white figure. Damn. Why is it that Dragon Country kid? Shouldn't he have been injured and fallen to the ground by the monk's whip kick? When did he run over? Peep, who was following Xiao Chenhui, said aggrievedly, I don't know either. This kid just fell to the ground with a painful look on his face. I just didn't pay attention. He got up from the ground and rushed over. In fact, Peep was more puzzled than Navas. How much force was used by the Blackfoot behind him just now? Peep knew it best. He was just running towards people. He gathered all his strength and kicked hard. Even if Xiao Chenhui would not be injured and leave the field, muscle strain was inevitable. Peep thought that falling to the ground and passing the ball was already Xiao Chenhui's limit. He would be carried off the field on a stretcher next. Who would have thought that this kid could still stand up alive and kicking? No one knew. When Peep's whip kick hit Xiao Chenhui's calf, a silver light flashed in the system skill bar. The SS level passive skill Dragon God Bodyguard was quietly activated. Skill effect. During professional matches and training, passively gain 50% damage immunity. In other words, the damage caused by Peep to Xiao Chenhui was automatically filtered out by half by the skill effect. It really hurts, but it is not enough to cause any substantial damage to Xiao Chenhui. The series of operations he performed before that caused him to fall to the ground in pain. In fact, he deliberately pretended to confuse Peep and the others. The head coach taught us, cunning is an important factor in determining victory or defeat besides strength. It is actually very simple to translate it into Dragon Country. All is fair in war. Xiao Chenhui kept this sentence firmly in mind. He lay on the ground while performing what it means to be extremely painful, while secretly observing Peep's reaction. When Peep relaxed his vigilance, when he felt guilty, he immediately became lively again. The last link of the running and gunning tactical system was completed naturally. This attack was initiated by Xiao Chenhui. After continuous running and passing by Dybala, Berardi, and Quagliarella, it finally returned to Xiao Chenhui's feet. The effective run and gun was brought to the extreme. Unlike Quagliarella, Xiao Chenhui's single-handed shot was as steady as an old dog. He never missed. Brescia goalkeeper Andre Nassi had the most say in this. He didn't know how many times he had been abused in the team's training matches. In the skill column, a dazzling golden light lit up. The SSS level skill pendulum pass slowly lit up. So, white stones build white towers. White towers build white stones. Then, the tower collapsed. The wall collapsed to the ground. Even Shenten couldn't help it up. Chapter 137, Honor in Defeat. Brescia took the lead again in the 68th minute of the game 4:3. Xiao Chenhui scored a hat-trick at the Bernabeu Stadium. Dear audience, in this game, we saw an exciting scene. Our young player Xiao Chenhui not only became the first East Asian player to play at the Bernabeu Stadium, but also scored a hat-trick. The well-deserved first Asian player. Let's cheer for him. The result of the game is no longer important. What's important is that he showed us the future of Longguo football. Xiao Chenhui, a lone brave man walking in the dark. He didn't bother to recite the poem. He almost roared and described it in the most straightforward language. But often the more straightforward the language, the more it can resonate in people's hearts. The Longguo network exploded. Brother Hui, Yides, Nubiculus, the king of all monsters, unparalleled in the world. When Brother Hui comes out, who can compete with him? Brother Hui, the Monster King, has boundless magic power. For thousands of years, he has unified the world. He is a man of both literary and martial virtues, and his lifespan is as long as the sky. Beautiful. This goal was scored beautifully. It's so damn beautiful. It's like Ronaldo, the alien, is possessed. I have to say, such a goal is really worth watching. All kinds of involuntary cheers turned into rows of barrages. It directly blew up the server of the Xiao Chenhui Sports channel. The ratings rose swooping. It beat the dramas carefully performed by many stars in the same time period. What kind of romance movies, urban dramas, costume dramas? Can it be more exciting than Xiao Chenhui's triple kill at the Bernabeu? Not only the Dragon Country fans on the internet, even the tens of thousands of Real Madrid fans who poured into the scene stood up. They gave Xiao Chenhui a warm applause. In Xiao Chenhui, they saw what is called the speed of the wind. I saw the familiar pendulum passing. I saw the indomitable fighting spirit. I also saw the precious spirit of never giving up. Who says that only those who stand in the light are heroes? Who says that those who come from grassroots are not heroes? So what if he comes from Dragon Country? He proudly stepped through the Bernabeu Stadium. That kind of lonely courage. It made thousands of people admire him. I didn't expect that tens of thousands of Real Madrid fans would applaud him. Xiao Chenhui was moved to come to the pure white stands. He bowed to the fans. Wei and Liu Jiao in the press area were already speechless with excitement. The two couldn't help but hold each other's hands tightly, jumping in front of the reporters from Sakura country next to them. Who was the last person who received applause at the Bernabeu as an opponent? It was the football elf Ronaldinho who almost became the king. Maybe Xiao Chenhui is not as great as Ronaldinho now, but the future is promising. The height Ronaldinho once reached. Maybe it is the height that Xiao Chenhui is about to reach. That day may not be too far away. Jump, dance, laugh to your heart's content. For the dragon people who have been in darkness for a long time without seeing the light, the dawn brought by Xiao Chenhui is enough to make them ecstatic. Are the remaining games still important? Xiao Chenhui's performance has exceeded everyone's expectations. In the 90th minute of the game, the final whistle sounded. A hearty offensive drama came to an end. Brescia finally lost with a score of 4-6. The BBC combination showed their power collectively after Xiao Chenhui scored a hat-trick. Each scored a goal. Ronaldo also completed a hat-trick and won the game as he wished. Only the little demons of Brescia cheered and celebrated. After all, it was an insignificant warm-up match. Even Inzaghi was very satisfied to be able to play like this against the powerful Real Madrid. The strength gap between the two sides was vividly displayed there. The value of any one of the BBC combination is higher than the sum of the values of the 11 starting players of Brescia. There is no comparison. Okay, what else do you want? This game was a glorious defeat for the Brescia boys. More importantly, they have accumulated experience in playing against big teams. This will be of great help to their rapid growth in the future. That is a benefit that cannot be bought with any amount of money. As soon as the game ended, the domineering president Cristiano Ronaldo took the initiative to walk in front of Xiao Chenhui. He showed an admiring smile to the Dragon Country boy who was trying his best and breathing heavily. Xiao, you played really well. Would you like to exchange jerseys as a souvenir? Unexpectedly, the famous Cristiano Ronaldo actually took the initiative to exchange jerseys with him. Xiao Chenhui was slightly stunned. He quickly took off the jersey representing Brescia and handed it to Cristiano Ronaldo. "It is my honor, but I will continue to work hard." After a pause, Xiao Chenhui added, "Take you as your goal." Now it was Cristiano Ronaldo's turn to be stunned. With his status and influence in football, except for Messi, who dares to take him as a goal to surpass? But I don't know why. See, Ronaldo suddenly felt that the dragon country boy in front of him was very cute. This is a boy with a clear goal in life. To borrow your words, "I'll wait for you. But you have to catch up quickly. I won't stay where you are and let you catch up at will." See, Ronaldo laughed and said. Xiao Chenhui answered very seriously, "It's a deal." See, Ronaldo stopped laughing. He opened his 5 fingers and handed them to Xiao Chenhui. Xiao Chenhui, with great confidence, handed his palm up. Not a handshake, but a high five. At the press conference after the game, see, Ronaldo showed the reporters the Brescia jersey that he had exchanged from Xiao Chenhui. Half jokingly and half seriously, he said, "I think this is the least famous jersey in all my collections. But you all saw how excellent the owner of this jersey is. If possible, I really hope he can come to the Bernabeu and fight side by side with me. Of course, we already have the best center forward in the world, Benzema, but who would complain that there are not enough excellent partners?" See Ronaldo's speech. Reporters understood it as he extended an invitation to Xiao Chenhui. He invited Xiao Chenhui to join Real Madrid. How could this be possible? Who is the domineering president? There are only a few players in the world that he can admire. No one could have imagined that President Leo would fall in love with the young man from the dragon country in Brescia. What did he say? After the press conference, Inzaghi led his disciples to the bus to the airport. He saw the media news on his mobile phone. Monaco's Italian Sky Sports was the first to speak. The domineering president fell in love with him. A warm-up match attracted the attention of Cristiano Ronaldo. Since learning about the dragon country culture with Xiao Chenhui, this beautiful girl always likes to quote some dragon country words in her reports. Similar to the domineering president, fell in love with him. Other media also focused on this explosive point. Made a large-scale report. Spanish newspaper as, the team star player intends to recruit soldiers, introducing a huge potential stock. Also from Spain's daily sports, Apennine new star shines in the Bernabeu. Makes Real Madrid salivate, as is the mouthpiece of Real Madrid. Naturally, it has to speak for the local team. And Daily Sports is the mouthpiece of Barcelona. By praising Xiao Chenhui, isn't it indirectly belittling the big names of Real Madrid? He was almost defeated by a fledgling boy from Dragon Country. You still have the nerve to invite him to join? Stop making a fool of yourself. However, no one in AS or Daily Sports expected that the secret fight between the two media would raise Xiao Chenhui's reputation a lot. Originally, Xiao Chenhui was just a little famous. Almost no one in Spain had heard of him. But after being made a fuss by the Spanish media, he suddenly became the focus of heated discussion among Spanish fans. It was as if Florentino really wanted to spend another huge sum of money to buy Xiao Chenhui. This made Florentino silently say, "I really don't have that idea." Chapter 138 Xiao Chenhui is popular again. After the warm-up match with Real Madrid, the Brescia youngsters just returned to Brescia and were warmly welcomed by local fans. In the history of the team, they have never entered the great Bernabeu stadium. Moreover, they scored 4 goals there. Although they lost in the end, they still won glory in defeat. Among all the youngsters, the one who received the loudest cheers from the fans was Xiao Chenhui, who performed a hat-trick. The new captain of Brescia never fails to perform at any time and in any place. He is so tough. Monica sent the picture of Brescia to Marfanciu. After Marfanciu posted it on the internet, it once again aroused the blood boiling of Longguo fans. Did you see it? The players who went out of our Longguo can also receive such a warm welcome in the Apennines. Longguo football is no longer the same as before. The wall knocked down by Xiao Chenhui can lead the weak Costa Rica into the World Cup. Why can't our brother Hui? Therefore, Xiao Chenhui has become popular again. Millions of fans continue to send messages to the Pig Association. They demand that the Pig Association lift the ban on Xiao Chenhui, recruit him to join the Longguo team, help the precarious Longguo team to play the remaining Nation Cup qualifiers, Even the head coach Parin, who has been in office for less than half a year, expressed his incomprehension. Xiao is such an excellent and motivated player. Why doesn't the Longguo Pig Association use him? They are so blind. Or their head was crushed by the toilet lid. At the headquarters of the Pig Association in Shanghai, Xiao closed the laptop in front of him with an ugly look. His face was so gloomy that water could drip out. It's that Xiao Chenhui again. Can't he be honest? Why does he have to be so prominent? Young people don't know how to be restrained. They think they are unparalleled in the world. They refuse to accept the deployment and leadership of the Pig Association. They put their own interests above Longguo. Such people are definitely not allowed to join the Longguo team. No matter how talented they are, it's useless. Xiao still didn't know that he was deceived by Zhang Jian's one-sided statement. He really thought that what Zhang Jian said was arrogant and unpatriotic was Xiao Chenhui's true character. Not interfering in professional business is Xiao's style of doing things. He believes that professional matters should be left to professionals. Who would have thought that the so-called professionals would mess things up behind his back and then turn around and weave a set of lies to deceive him? Xiao now feels annoyed when he hears the three words Xiao Chenhui. But Xiao Chenhui's name is everywhere on the internet and in the media. It can't be avoided. It's so annoying. Notify the relevant departments to ban Xiao Chenhui from today. I don't want to see or hear this annoying name anywhere again. Xiao showed his most ferocious magic weapon. With a sullen face, he gave a death order. Yes, I'll do it right away. Zhang Jian, the deputy head of the Pig Association, was so happy. Banning such a thing. This is the usual killer move of people of their level. If they don't like someone, they will be banned. If they make inappropriate remarks, they will be banned. If they want to join the Dragon Country team, but are unwilling to pay, they will be banned. What does it mean to ban? It means to completely hide the name of the banned person. Even Baidu can't find it. After 2 hours, Dragon Country fans began to find something wrong. Why can't I search for Brother Hui's name on the internet? It's the same here. When I type it, it shows stars. Damn. Could it be that Brother Hui has been completely banned? Just like those big stars who evaded taxes? The Pig Association's move is cruel enough. If they can't handle it themselves, they just ban Brother Hui. Everyone should stop playing. These grandsons. Are their brains full of tofu dregs? Too wicked. I don't know what's in their brains, but I know that their minds must be smaller than needles. That's right. It's obvious that they can't tolerate others. With such a Pig Association, how can Dragon Country football be good? Alas. I just woke up from a nap and saw such news. I'm so upset. Who said it wasn't? I think the Pig Association should be disbanded as soon as possible. Without their pig brains, maybe it would be a little better than it is now. All kinds of sadness, disappointment, and curses filled the internet. It's a pity that no matter what the fans say, no information about Xiao Chenhui can be found. It's like he disappeared out of thin air. In the newly built Xuanhu Children's Football Training Base, Zhui and Duan Zuan looked at each other. Both of them were bitter. Not to mention whether the money invested before would be wasted. Without Xiao Chenhui's signature effect, who would send their children to school to practice football in the future? To put it in a bigger picture, the Dragon national team's current miserable performance in the Asian Cup qualifiers. They don't care about their face anymore. They dare to lose to anyone they meet. At such a critical moment, instead of trying to reconcile with Xiao Chenhui and call him back to play, they want to ban him completely? The Pig Association is simply digging its own grave. In the Xiao Sports channel, Hui and Liu Jiaxing, who had just returned to China, were excited to make a highlight video of the match between Real Madrid and Brescia. But before they could do anything, the leader who sent them to Madrid told them with a sad face to cancel the playback of all videos related to Xiao Chenhui. No matter whether they were recorded in the past or recently, they will all be removed from the shelves. Hui and Liu Jiaxing asked in shock what this was for. But they provoked a roar from the leader. Just do what I tell you to do. Why are you talking so much nonsense? It's no wonder that he was in a bad mood today. Through the match with Real Madrid, he saw Xiao Chenhui's huge influence in the country. If it's well managed, it's a cash cow. Unfortunately, he didn't have time to make more money from this tree. The higher-ups gave a death order to cut down this cash cow. The white silver flew away. How could he not feel distressed? It hurt so much that he was about to have a heart attack, right? Hantang Group headquarters. Xiao Han slammed the tablet in his hand on the table with a grim expression. Humph. Who the hell is he? How dare he bully my son? The assistant said angrily. Do you want to make an appointment with him? Let him withdraw the ban order? Xiao Han was silent for 3 minutes. In the end, he slowly shook his head. Forget it. If you want to grow up, you must stand firm, even if you get beaten up. Xiao must get over this hurdle himself. Italy. At home in Brescia, Xiao Chenhui received a long-distance call from Ma Fanshu. After listening to Ma Fanshu's anxious speech, he smiled nonchalantly. That's it? Banned me? That's no big deal. It's not long before the big event that shocked the world of sports. Be patient. When that thing breaks out, I will let those pig brains and the pig association know. With their tricks, they want to ban me completely. They don't have the ability to do that. Chapter 139. The first battle of the new season. Putting aside all the chaos, Xiao Chenhui put all his thoughts into the first game of the new season. Brescia will play against Parma at the home stadium of Rigamonti. Parma is a veteran Serie A team. There have been many world-class stars in the history of the team. Buffon, Cannavaro, Crespo, Thuram, including Brescia's head coach Inzaghi. He has also trained in Parma before. There are too many to count. Parma has also won 2 UEFA Cups in the 94-95 and 98-99 seasons. That is the predecessor of the Europa League. That is the honor that Inzaghi, as the head coach, has always dreamed of. However, the current Parma team is not as strong as before because of the chronic disease of poor management. The biggest star in the team is Cassano, the former Roma player. This talented player who once debuted in Rome and was hailed as Totti's successor has experienced drifting in many top teams such as Real Madrid, AC Milan and Inter Milan. The halo of genius has long faded, coming to play for a mid-level team like Parma. Perhaps many Italian genius prodigies have a world-class tradition below the neck. Cassano has wasted half his life like this. He has not fulfilled all his talents. Even so, he still played 33 times and scored 12 goals last season. He helped Parma win the 6th place in Serie A. If Brescia wants to beat Parma, Cassano's role cannot be ignored. He must be marked at the beginning of the game. This is the death order given by Inzaghi to his disciples. The players of the two opposing teams began to enter the field officially. However, there was no Longguo reporter in the press area on the sidelines. In fact, Xiao Chenhui Sports Channel has already bought the broadcasting rights of Serie A. It has even cooperated with the Italian Football Association for many years. It's just because of the ban on Xiao Chenhui by the Longguo Pig Association. No Longguo reporter dared to report this game. However, the Longguo Pig Association can restrict reporters within the system, but it can't restrict the fans who have infinite hope for Xiao Chenhui. Some Longguo fans came to the Rigamonti stadium spontaneously. They wanted to witness Xiao Chenhui's first Serie A game. Or, to witness the gap in Longguo football history being filled. Longguo football has developed to the present. Yang Chen scored 8 goals in a single season in the Bundesliga to help Frankfurt successfully avoid relegation. Sun Jae has firmly established himself as the main right back of Manchester City in the Premier League. Zheng Zhi has also made his debut in the Premier League, but no Longguo player has officially appeared in the Serie A game. For many Longguo fans, this moment is undoubtedly worth paying attention to because it is a moment that breaks history. The Longguo fans who came to the scene pointed their mobile phones at the stadium. In this way, they recorded the historic scene. Through their mobile phone records, Brescia's starting lineup has not changed much. The front line is still the trident composed of Xiao Chenhui, Quagliarella and Berardi. In the midfield, Dybala is the main attacker. Tonali and Gagliardini are responsible for defense and organization. The back line is composed of Rafael Guerreiro, Skriniar, Koulibaly and Kimmich. And Rennessi is in front of the goal. On the bench, there are Donnarumma, Diamanti, Bissoli, Rugani, Mario Fernandes, Joranen and other good players. Parma also has 3 starting forwards, number 99 Cassano, number 10 Bilfodi and number 5 Jezel. Don't think that the number 5 player must be a defender. Some alternative forwards also like to wear small numbered jerseys. For example, Jezel, number 30 Aqua, number 21 Lodi and number 80 Jorka form the midfield of Parma. The back line is number 13 Ristovski, number 19 Felipe, number 6 Alessandro Lucarelli and number 11 Di Segli. Similarly, don't think that the player wearing number 11 jersey is necessarily an offensive player. Di Segli is an out-and-out defender. He was transferred from Juventus during the summer transfer window. He is also a familiar figure to the Brescia players. Compared with other players in Parma, the Brescia players at least faced Di Segli in the Italian Cup last season. Number 83 Mirant is a starting goalkeeper of Parma. Beep. With a whistle, the game officially began. The Dragon fans at the scene always felt that something was missing. There was no opening speech from Duan Zuan's Xiao Chenhui sports channel. There was no Zhang Lu's iconic he laugh. There was no He Wen's poetic inspiration. It was a pity for the Dragon fans after all. But more of it was unfair. What did Xiao Chenhui do wrong? The people in the Pig Association said they would ban him, so they banned him? What's the reason? Xiao Chenhui is the first Dragon player to step into the Serie A field. Is this the treatment? Is he not even worthy of a commentator? At this stage, if Xiao Chenhui can't represent the highest level of Dragon football, who else can? Is it Gael Lensman or Zhang Ramos? A scene that broke the historical record. Was it covered up silently? No movement at all? Not breaking out in silence? Dying in silence? Xiao Chenhui was actually holding his breath. This was the first Serie A game in his life. He must play the most exciting performance. Want to block me? Then you can't block me. So, a certain beast broke out. The game was only in the 3rd minute. After receiving Dybala's through ball, Xiao Chenhui launched a fearless charge towards Parma's penalty area. Along the way, he passed 3 Parma defenders in a row. He blew in front of goalkeeper Mirant like a whirlwind. Then he connected with a beautiful pendulum pass. Mirant was left in front of the goal, beating the grass helplessly. Xiao Chenhui, who shook off Mirant, stretched out his right foot and pushed lightly. The football crossed the goal line freely, breaking the balance between the two teams. Helped Brescia take the lead. Dybala, who sent him a through ball, ran over first. The classic shoe polishing celebration action reappeared at the Rigamonti Stadium. Dozens of Dragon Country fans who came to the scene were not calm. They began to get excited. I don't know who started it. The melody that the fans of the fan club had arranged countless times. The melody that belonged to Xiao Chenhui alone. It resounded over the Rigamonti Stadium. I love you walking alone in the dark alley. I love the way you don't kneel. I love you for confronting despair and refusing to cry. I love your tattered clothes. But you dare to block the gun of fate. I love you for being so similar to me, with the same gaps. I love you for coming from the wilderness. You will never borrow anyone's light in your life. You will build your city-state on the ruins. Are you going? Go. This ragged cloak. Are you going to fight? Fight. With the most humble dream. To the sobbing and roaring in the dark night. Who said that only those who stand in the light are heroes? Exclamation mark. You're mottled, unique. Your silence is deafening. The Dragon fans use the Dragon language to exaggerate the tragic atmosphere of the entire Rigamonti Stadium. Although there were only a few dozen people at the scene, their singing was louder than the 20,000 Italian fans in the stadium. And from the moment Xiao Chenhui scored the goal, the tragic singing never stopped. It lasted for 90 minutes. Chapter 140, The Lone Brave Man. Beep. The game was over. Brescia defeated Parma 3:1. Xiao Chenhui performed a hat-trick. You know, Parma is not comparable to those opponents in Serie B. This is a veteran Serie A team. But Xiao Chenhui did it. The Dragon Country song that continued to play over the Rigamonti Stadium gave him endless power. It made him charge at full speed again and again. He got rid of people again and again. He kicked the ball again and again. He scored again and again. Dozens of Dragon Country fans at the scene encouraged him with the songs that resounded throughout the stadium. This hat trick not only belongs to Xiao Chenhui himself, but also to those Dragon Country fans who came from thousands of miles away to cheer. At the moment the game ended, Xiao Chenhui rushed to the stands, where the Dragon Country fans were at the fastest speed. He waved to the fans. Then he bent his waist deeply. The Dragon Country fans in the stands clearly saw it. At the moment when Xiao Chenhui bent down, 2 hot tears fell from his eyes and hit the grass in front of him. The fans understood the emotion contained in his tears. So how to respond to him? The song of the Lone Brave became louder. Every Longguo fan used up all the strength in his body. Sing the Lone Brave. Whether it was Duan Zuan or He Wei, they had said countless times in previous games that Xiao Chenhui was the lone brave among Longguo players. He brought a ray of light in the dark night. Longguo fans agreed with this very much. So this adapted The Lone Brave was born. Every line of the lyrics was tailor-made for Xiao Chenhui. Walking alone in the dark alley, not kneeling, facing despair, refusing to cry, unfair, then break it with practical actions. Wearing a ragged cloak, fighting against the wind. Although I come from the wilderness, I will build my own city-state on the ruins. No one knows who is singing The Lone Brave at this moment. It's not just the Dragon Country fans at the scene. In every city in Dragon Country, every street and alley, seeing the video sent by the fans at the scene, countless fans are like crazy. No matter where they are, they sing this song over and over again. For Xiao Chenhui, and for the resonance in their hearts. Just as it is written in the lyrics, the gun of fate will eventually defeat the ideal in the heart. Many people bow their heads to fate in reality, but everyone has a stubbornness in their hearts. Xiao Chenhui is the flame that ignites this stubbornness. He is the hope in the hearts of the fans. Their gap has been broken by reality, but Xiao Chenhui, who does not want to hold on to his dreams and forge ahead, will also be defeated by the hands of fate. The reason why Xiao Chenhui is so popular in China, part of the reason is because of his football skills. But more importantly, it's because people see hope in him. In other words, those who have been defeated by reality, transfer their dreams to Xiao Chenhui, hoping that he can carry everyone's dreams all the way. Never bow to the cruel reality, a person's life. In fact, I'm always fighting against reality. After years of hard study, I finally got into a famous university. But when I walked out of the school gate, I found that the major I studied was useless. I finally found a job. But I found that the meaning of work is not to reflect my own value. It is just a means to support my family. As time goes by, your work will eventually become meaningless. After several years of hard work, my work has finally become more stable. I have the capital to talk about marriage. But I may run into a few scumbags and let my heart be hurt again. I have worked hard for half a lifetime. I have to worry about my children when I enter middle age. How difficult is a person's life who has not bowed to reality a few times? How many people have experienced the beauty described in the book? Dreams are destroyed by the cruelty of reality. But dreams should not be raped by reality like this. People should always have some hope for the future when they are alive. Xiao Chenhui is like the past of many ordinary people. He was forced to a crossroads by the current situation of the Pig Association and Dragon Country football. But he did not choose to compromise. He lived the ideal life in the minds of most people. So people are willing to call him a lone hero. Let him carry the spark in their hearts. Watching Xiao Chenhui interact with the not so many Dragon Country fans, Dybala said with heartfelt emotion, the captain is so lucky. With such fans coming across the ocean to support him, how could he not succeed? Tonley nodded. Dragon Country fans are indeed the best fans in the world. Quagliarella, who is over 30 years old, was even moved. It's hard to imagine that at my age, one day I will still be moved by fans in a foreign country. Head coach Inzaghi gave the best interpretation of this. Football is not about life and death. Football is above life and death. Because sometimes, football represents the honor of a person and a country. The Brescia Demons nodded in unison. They probably don't understand what Xiao Chenhui represents to Dragon Country football, but they saw the passion and sincerity of the Dragon Country fans. When a professional player has such a large number of enthusiastic fans, is there anything that can hold him back? Absolutely not. Dragon Country Magic City, Hantang Group headquarters. Xiao Han put down the tablet in his hand. His assistant clearly saw the relieved smile on his face. And, the tears flashing in his eyes. and the slightly raised corners of his mouth, revealing pride. Call Fanshu over and tell her that I have something to discuss with her. Xiao Han kept his relieved and proud smile for 2 minutes. He said to his assistant. The assistant smiled and nodded and left. Not long after, Ma Fanshu came. He greeted Xiao Han with a sweet smile. Hello, Uncle Xiao. This is the nutritional supplement I brought you. Xiao Han deliberately frowned. Fanshu, do you think your Uncle Xiao is old? Does he need to rely on nutritional supplements? Ma Fanshu smiled like a flower. How is Uncle Xiao old? In my mind, you are in your prime. The Xiao and Ma families are old friends. When the Han Tang group was just starting out, or even before it started, the two families were neighbors. They were as close as a family. In the eyes of outsiders, and even in the eyes of Xiao Chenhui, Xiao Han was a domineering president with a tough personality. But in the eyes of Ma Fanshu, he was just an amiable uncle next door. Domineering or something. It didn't exist. Maybe it was because he didn't have a daughter. Or maybe Ma Fanshu and his deceased wife had a similar temperament. He always treated her as his own daughter. After chatting and laughing with Ma Fanshu, Xiao Han brought the topic back on track. Fanshu, I heard that you bought several properties in Xiangcheng and Ancheng. I want to take these properties. What do you think? Of course, I will never let you suffer a loss in terms of price. Ma Fanshu was slightly stunned. With Uncle Xiao's ability to know everything, how could he not know that the person who bought those properties was actually Xiao? But he didn't mention it in his words. He only said that he wanted to purchase the properties from Ma Fanshu. Isn't this just an attempt to cover up the truth? Sima Zhao's intentions are known to everyone. Ma Fanshu guessed that Xiao Han wanted to secretly help his son. But because of his face, he didn't want to do it too obviously. So he found her. He secretly subsidized her with money under the pretext of discussing business. Subsidizing her, isn't it equivalent to indirectly subsidizing Xiao Chenhui? This lovely old stubborn. Ma Fanshu almost laughed out loud on the spot. Half an hour later, Ma Fanshu left Xiao Han's office with a huge sum of money. Then he turned and went to Xiangcheng and Ancheng. He used the money that Xiao Han used to purchase 3 properties. He bought a total of 10 properties. Chapter 141, Serie A's new number 1 draft. In the first 3 games of the new season, Brescia won 3 consecutive victories under the leadership of Inzaghi. After they defeated Parma 3-1, they defeated the stronger Lazio away with a score of 3-2. Then they returned to their home court. At the Rigamonti Stadium, they bloodbathed Empoli, their old rival in Serie B last season, 5-0. After this battle, it fully proved the correctness of Brescia's signings in the summer window. They are also the 2 newly promoted teams that have just been promoted to Serie A this season. Brescia already has the strong strength to gain a foothold in Serie A and Empoli is obviously still at the top level of Serie B. It is not surprising that they suffered 3 consecutive defeats in Serie A in the past 3 games. Brescia has scored a total of 11 goals. The big demon King Xiao Chenhui contributed 5 alone. The old demon Quagliarella scored 3 goals in 3 games. Dybala and Berardi scored 1 goal each. The other goal was scored by Diamanti, a veteran who just returned to Serie A powerful offensive firepower. For a time, the entire Serie A changed color. There is no such thing as a top draft pick in Serie A, but in the eyes of many media people and players, Xiao Chenhui has undoubtedly become the new top draft pick in Serie A this season. Teams such as AC Milan and Juventus, which have long coveted him, flocked to him again. They sent the club's most savvy people to try to persuade Xiao Chenhui to leave Brescia and join their team, especially the 2 Milan giants who are determined to revive. They did not hesitate to bid an annual salary of 5 million euros. You must know that Kaká, who played for AC Milan last season, only received this annual salary. Xiao Chenhui, who just played 3 Serie A games, can actually be compared with Kaká at the end of his peak. He has quietly entered the ranks of the top stream in Serie A and has become the target of pursuit by all parties. You must know that none of the bosses of major clubs are fools. They are all old-timers who have been in the business world for many years. If they were not optimistic about Xiao Chenhui's unlimited potential in the future, how could they bid a high price for an 18-year-old boy? Compared with the bosses of major clubs, the two supergiants in the agent field regretted their decision. Menz and Real regretted their decision. Half a year ago, they were very optimistic about Xiao Chenhui, the Dragon Country boy. However, Xiao Chenhui declined both negotiations. If they could have persisted a little longer and offered better conditions, they might have signed Xiao Chenhui. Wouldn't they have gotten a fresh cash cow? Unfortunately, there is no regret medicine in the world. Xiao Chenhui has signed an agent contract with Pelé. Even if they want to intervene, they can't. If they change to other newly debuted agents, they still have the confidence to put pressure on the other party. But facing Pelé? Haha. His starting point is higher than the end point of most agents. Okay. Even Menz and Real can't shake Pelé's huge influence in Italian football. Inzaghi heard about the various rumors outside, but he was not panicked at all. Xiao Chenhui, for some reason, he advanced 1 year's salary to the club. Even if he wants to change clubs, it will be a year later. In this season, no one can dig him away. Inzaghi disagreed. Besides, no one knows his son better than his father. A master knows his disciples' thoughts very well. He knew that Xiao Chenhui had no intention of leaving. Otherwise, how could he put the new season signings list in front of him before the summer transfer window? Xiao Chenhui not only wants to create his own future, it also shows an attitude. He wants to create a bright future for Brescia with his own hands. Xiao Chenhui wants more than just the title of Serie A's new #1 pick. No one knows his ambition better than Inzaghi. This kid is probably aiming for the Serie A championship. Xiao Chenhui said silently, "Boss, you know me." After a wave of 3 consecutive victories, Brescia ushered in the first test of the new season. The 4th round of Serie A, they will face the powerful Juventus. And it's an away game. Any team with a long history and outstanding record in the world dare not say that it can retreat unscathed from the Alpi Stadium, let alone the newly promoted Brescia. Although Brescia defeated Juventus in the Italian Cup last season, that was because Juventus focused its main energy on the League and Champions League games. The Italian Cup is a chicken rib in their eyes. It is dispensable. In the game, less than half of the main players were sent. Change it to the league. You try? Even if it is not the best, it is at least crushing the lineup of most Serie A teams. In the summer transfer window, Juventus sent Quagliarella to Brescia, but spent €30 million to introduce Morata from Real Madrid. Although there are no big name players joining the midfield, they also lost Pirlo, the brain commander who retired early. However, with the strength of Vidal, Pogba, Marchisio, Giovinco and others, it is enough to compete with the midfield of any club. The defense line introduced Evra, the main left back of Manchester United, freed Chiellini from the wing, and returned to the position of the back gate. And there have been great changes in the position of the head coach. Allegri replaced Kant. He is destined to bring new changes to Juventus. You must know that in the original historical process, Allegri, who coached Juventus for 5 years, brought 5 Serie A championship trophies to the old lady. From the 2014 to 2015 season to the 2018 to 2019 season, it has never fallen, and it has reached the final of the Champions League twice. In short, Juventus has become stronger after a summer. It is not easy for Brescia's little demons to maintain their winning streak. In this regard, from head coach Inzaghi, all Brescia are mentally prepared. But this does not mean that they are going to lie down and admit defeat. The previous 3 consecutive victories have made the momentum of the little demons at its peak. Even if they can't beat Juventus away from home, they will show all their strength to compete with Juventus. 2 league points are the basis. 3 points are not impossible. But they will never accept 0 points. 5 days before the 4th round of Serie A, Inzaghi started close training. Aiming at the characteristics and extremely subtle flaws of Juventus, he led his young players to start special training. No one knows what they are doing. Even connected people like Monica Liata can't spy on any military intelligence. At 6:45 PM on September 25th Italian time, the highlight of this round of Serie A began. One is the old traditional overlord of Serie A, the other is a new force that has set off a new force in Serie A as a newly promoted team. The old and the new will face off. Who will have the last laugh? The fans who pay attention to this issue exceed half of the population of Italy. Therefore, the tickets for this game were sold out a week ago. The huge Alpi Stadium was packed. More than 71,000 fans poured into the Alpi Stadium, turning it into a sea of black and white. More than 99% of the fans present were die-hard fans of Juventus. The huge waves of cheering and shouting could almost knock a person over. Chapter 142, The Showdown Between the New and the Old. Hey, dear friends, I'm Benito. I'm glad to see you again. The Brescia local commentator who had been invisible for a long time jumped out. He infected the few Brescia fans at the scene with his passionate and full emotions, as well as the Dihad fans who were sitting in the bar and in front of the TV and who were unable to come to the scene. There were only about 1,000 Brescia fans at the scene. Among them, more than 300 were Longguo fans. They came only for Xiao Chenhui. After all, Turin is one of the top 5 cities in Italy. It is also the largest automobile venue in Europe. It is also the capital of Piedmont. There are still many Longguo people making a living here. In addition, there are Dihad fans who came from China to cheer for Xiao Chenhui. So in the small piece of blue and white in Brescia, there is a small group of black-haired yellow-skinned Longguo people. Just like the previous few games, the only more than 300 Longguo fans sang the Lone Brave from the moment they entered the stadium. In this way, they expressed their support for Xiao Chenhui. Even though many of them prefer Juventus, which has dominated Serie A for many years. But at this moment, they all became Brescia's Dihad fans. Just because Brescia has Xiao Chenhui. Benito obviously heard the singing of the Dragon Country fans. He sighed sincerely. The Dragon Country's singing came from the scene. Although I don't understand what they are singing, I can feel the tragic and majestic contained in the song. I think, with the support of our fans, our flag will play the most dazzling performance. Come on. Let's cater to the singing of the Dragon Country fans and shout out the name of our flag. In the ocean, filled with black and white, a unique voice sounded. Love you walking alone in the dark alley. Love the way you don't kneel. Xiao, love you for confronting despair and refusing to cry. Chen, love your tattered clothes, but dare to block the gun of fate. Hui, go. Geo, fight. Geo, Geo, Geo. To the sobbing and roaring in the dark night. Roar. Benito turned into a gold medal DJ. He led the Brescia fans with explosive simple syllables, interspersed with the high-pitched singing of the Dragon Country fans. It added a bit of majesty. Many Juventus players looked at the small group of alternative people in shock. If they were not wearing the home team uniforms, they would have doubted whether they had come to the Rigamonti Stadium. Juventus coach Allegri shouted at his disciples who were on the field, "Focus. Cheer up. Don't be affected by off-field factors." The new official took office with 3 fires. Juventus under Allegri had previously maintained the same undefeated record as Brescia. He certainly didn't want to lose the 4th game. In his opinion, a small team like Brescia is naturally unable to compete with Juventus. It is destined to be crushed by the powerful Juventus. But the Lion still needs to use all its strength to fight the rabbit. So he wants to remind his disciples to concentrate on playing this game well and avoid being disturbed by off-field factors. In fact, Allegri didn't need to remind them. Juventus players would not let Brescia's young demons go easy. In the Italian Cup last season, they were eliminated by Brescia from Serie B. This was always a shame for Juventus players. Since they met today, they must avenge their previous shame. Don't think that Brescia can get away with it by wearing the vest of a Serie A team. They are essentially just disciples of Serie B. This battle, they must be beaten back to their original form. But the Juventus players didn't know. In the hearts of Brescia's young demons, the same strong fighting spirit is no weaker than this. The young demons thought, if we can beat you once, we can beat you a second time. Let's take a walk. The game officially started. Brescia took the lead in kicking off. Unlike in the past, the person responsible for kicking off was not the captain Xiao Chenhui, but Dybala, who was standing in the offensive midfielder position. When Dybala's foot just touched the football and kicked the football a little bit out by 1 centimeter, Xiao Chenhui, who was standing in front of him, started to move. With a speed of 10.23 seconds for 100 meters without the ball, he rushed towards the hinterland of Juventus like the wind. He seemed to have no intention of turning back until he hit the wall. Juventus starting lineup was just as Inzaghi had expected before the game. It can be said that the elite players were all out. The three midfielders were Giovinco, Pogba and Vidal. Each of them had their own characteristics. Giovinco was good at attacking and could be used as a shadow striker when necessary to enhance the firepower configuration on the front line. The young Pogba took over the vacancy left by Pirlo's early retirement and became the midfield commander of Juventus in the new season. Vidal is a typical B2B midfielder. The coverage area extends from his own penalty area to the opponent's penalty area. He can freely switch roles and positions on the field between the two penalty areas. When he returns to his own penalty area, he is a defensive midfielder. When he rushes to the opponent's penalty area, he is a deadly killer. He either shoots from a long distance or delivers shells to his teammates on the front line. Seeing Xiao Chenhui rushing towards his own penalty area at lightning speed, the three Juventus midfielders blocked him without hesitation. The first to bear the brunt was Giovinco, who was standing further forward. Giovinco was short in stature. He was called the Atomic Ant. A small body with great energy was the best interpretation of him. However, since last season, Giovinco's main position was once threatened. In the competition with midfielders such as Pogba and Vidal, he did not have any advantage due to his short stature. Compared with Tevez, Laurent and others on the front line, his shooting skills were not as superb as those of the forwards. Especially after Juventus introduced Mora to this season, Giovinco's position became even more embarrassing. In the first 3 games of this season, Giovinco only played twice, one of which was as a substitute in the second half. So Giovinco held his breath. He wanted to prove himself by stepping on Brescia's shoulders. And the best way to prove it is to curb the attack of Brescia's top flag, isn't it? So he rushed to Xiao Chenhui with a bit of anger. He was the first to rush to Xiao Chenhui. At this time, Xiao Chenhui had just shaken off Juventus's front trident with speed. He barely rushed to the distance of 5 or 6 meters behind the center line. Suddenly, he felt someone approaching him. Xiao Chenhui looked down. He happened to see a hint of ferocity on Giovinco's upturned face. Xiao Chenhui is 185 cm tall. Giovinco is 164 cm tall. There is a difference of more than 20 centimeters. Xiao Chenhui had to lower his head to see him. Giovinco gave a wicked smile. Xiao Chenhui turned around suddenly on the spot. His feet quickly crossed on the grass. He pressed his back against Giovinco's body. He actually did a Marcel turn without the ball. He passed Giovinco directly. Beautiful. Beautiful Marcel turn. This is the first time I have seen someone do a Marcel turn without the ball. The commentator Benito explained passionately. Monica Liata in the press area disagreed with Benito's point of view. What is the ballless version of the Marcel turn? Do you understand? This is clearly the swimming step in Dragon Country Kung Fu Bagua Hang, okay. However, people who don't know much about it can easily mistake the swimming step as an alternative version of the Marcel turn. Monica, who is familiar with Xiao Chenhui's character, saw this move. She knew that her dear darling was going to do something bad again. In her beautiful big eyes, Carmen couldn't help showing an excited look. If a man is not bad, women will not love him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143, Better than Inzaghi Encounter Offside. Using the swimming step and Bagua's hang, Xiao Chenhui easily moved from the front of Giovinco to his side. Without giving Giovinco time to react, Xiao Chenhui pushed the ground hard with both feet. He started to speed up from the side of Giovinco. He rushed towards the bullseye like an arrow shot from a bow. When the atomic ant turned around, he saw that the beast had left him 3 meters away. What kind of speed is this? Isn't it a monkey that is good at running wearing a Brescia jersey? Or the kind that steps on the somersault cloud? Giovinco was stunned for just a moment. Xiao Chenhui rushed 5 or 6 meters away and rushed to Pogba and Vidal. Unlike Giovinco, he is an offensive player after all. His defensive ability is not up to paragraph. But these two brothers are different. They are both authentic midfielders. They have worked hard on defense. Naturally, their defensive ability is stronger than Giovinco's, but they didn't expect it. Before the two of them could get ready to make a move, the speed of the beast suddenly increased again. It was as if it had a launcher under its feet. It slipped through the defense of Pogba and Vidal. The two brothers almost collided head-on. They both had big bumps on their heads. If they couldn't stop and crashed into each other, one of them would become Ben Boba and the other would become Baboban. Not to mention, the two of them had a tuft of standing hair in the middle. They really looked like two little monsters. They would look even more like them with two more big bumps on their heads. The frustrated brothers Ben and Bay each stretched out a long leg. They tried to hook the advancing Xiao Chenhui from behind. It didn't matter whether it was a foul or not. The key was that the two brothers couldn't afford to lose face. They went up together. In the end, they were passed by a pair. The brothers are the world's top midfielders. It has to be said. Long legs are an advantage. Whether it is a man or a woman. Whether it is a player or a model. Pogba's right leg and Vidal's left leg hooked on Xiao Chenhui's right calf at the same time. Xiao Chenhui staggered as he rushed forward. He was about to fall to the ground. Moreover, with Xiao Chenhui's rushing speed, his calf was suddenly hit by the two brothers Ben and Bay. Even if the two brothers did not try their best for fear of causing serious injuries to Xiao Chenhui, it would not be something that ordinary people could bear. If the calf bone accidentally hits the bench, it will hurt for a long time. What's more, two professional players and two world-class midfielders deliberately blocked him. Seeing that Xiao Chenhui's body lost balance, Pogba and Vidal smiled with satisfaction. Then they raised their hands in a pretentious manner, indicated that they did not make a foul move. There was no intention to hurt anyone maliciously. The referee frowned slightly and held the whistle in his mouth. If Xiao Chenhui fell to the ground, he would blow the whistle to stop the game without hesitation. It can be said that the referees in Italy are quite tolerant of Juventus. Generally speaking, they will not take the initiative to penalize Juventus for fouls. But what these two brothers did just now was too obvious. Do you really think the referee is blind? If it were in the past, perhaps the referee would turn a blind eye and it would be over. But since the phone gate in the 2006-2007 season, no one dares to cover up Juventus blatantly. Why? Afraid that someone will invite them to have tea. However, under the attention of the referee, an incredible scene happened. Xiao Chenhui, who lost his balance, kept his forward posture unchanged. When his body was about to touch the grass, he suddenly stretched out his right palm and pushed hard on the grass. With the support of this force, he actually found the only balance point in his staggering. He continued to run forward with his waist bent. He did not fall down directly as Pogba and Vidal expected. Since Xiao Chenhui did not fall down, the referee naturally wouldn't blow the whistle. But he was a little confused. Is the leg bone of this dragon country kid made of steel? Pogba and Vidal kicked him so hard, but he was fine. Xiao Chenhui's leg bones are certainly not made of steel. But he has the SS level passive skill Dragon God body protection. It reduces 50% of the damage. What's the fuss? Pogba and Vidal just want to stop his running position. They don't want to kick him from behind. With the damage reduction of the passive skill, Xiao Chenhui will certainly not be injured. He just received the physical collision he deserved. The rest, nothing else. Seeing Xiao Chenhui actually broke through the entire midfield's pursuit and interception in one breath, Juventus central defenders Chiellini and Bonucci tacitly stepped forward. Chiellini, who has a strong ability to turn back, was in front. Bonucci, who has a faster turning speed, was behind. Two lines of defense were set up in the backcourt of their own team. Even if Xiao Chenhui dribbled past the one in front, there were still those behind him who continued to block him. Even if he dribbled past the one behind, the one in front could catch up in time. Moreover, there were Lichtsteiner and Casas on the two wings, who were eyeing him covetously. Xiao Chenhui saw the difficulties ahead. An idea flashed in his mind. He decided to play a trick of taking Tiger Mountain by surprise. His running speed did not decrease significantly. He still ran towards the goal of Juventus unswervingly, but his face gradually showed an unbearable look of pain. It seemed that Pogba and Vidal's trip just now had injured him after all. After running forward a few more steps, Xiao Chenhui's speed finally slowed down. He slowed down directly to the speed of a jog. His right leg that was kicked was still a little limping. Chiellini and Bonucci saw Xiao Chenhui's changes. They secretly breathed a sigh of relief. This is reasonable. How could he not react at all when hit by two people in high-speed movement? However, that being said, but Chiellini and Bonucci are world-class central defenders after all. They still didn't completely relax their defense against Xiao Chenhui. They came to Xiao Chenhui slowly and made a 2-on-1 defense posture. Under the defense of the two, Xiao Chenhui simply stopped. Half bent over, supported his knees with both hands. He gasped heavily. It seemed that his calf, which had just been kicked twice, was getting more and more painful. Judging from his expression, Chiellini and Bonucci were more relieved. After a series of things, Dybala and Tonali completed 2 back passes. By the way, they passed the opponent's forward Morata who was trying to steal the ball. Then Tonali suddenly kicked a long pass and hung the ball to the left. Juventus left back Casas didn't know what Xiao Chenhui wanted to do before. He was afraid that he would create danger after breaking through the central defender combination. His attention was always on Xiao Chenhui. Naturally, he couldn't defend Quagliarella. At this moment, seeing Quagliarella drive straight in, after receiving the pass from Tonali, he quickly moved his feet away from the junction of the wing and the middle, and rushed straight to Quagliarella. At the same time, Berardi on the other wing also started at high speed, and kept waving his hands, to signal Quagliarella to pass the ball directly to him. Quagliarella obviously saw Berardi's gesture. After rushing more than 10 meters with the ball, he had no intention of entangled with Casas who was about to arrive. He swung his thigh, pretending to transfer the ball to Berardi's side. Juventus's defensive players immediately made a clear division of responsibilities. Vidal rushed forward to assist Casas in robbing Quagliarella. Pogba filled in on the right side of the road. He and right back Lichtsteiner were guarding Berardi one after the other. Quagliarella rushed over before Vidal rushed over. He gently dropped his raised thigh and lightly touched the football. A beautiful fake pass, easily past Casas. Then calmly knocked the ball to the middle. Vidal and Pogba ran to the two sides respectively. The middle was very empty. Dybala took possession of the ball steadily without any defense. Then there was a straight pass without stopping. The football rolled quickly along the grass towards the goal of Juventus along a diagonal line. Who is it going to pass to? Is there anyone from Brescia there? The answer is yes. Just when the Juventus players were puzzled, Xiao Chenhui was like an agile cheetah, jumping out of the bushes where he was hiding. He shook off Chiellini and Bonucci who were standing beside him. He rushed to the football like the wind. Where was the pain just now? What injury? Who is injured? Who cares? Anyway, your brother Hui has great legs and feet. It's easy to go up to the 5th floor in one breath. Chapter 144 You should go to Hollywood. Damn it. Buffon couldn't help but curse in his heart. Why? This kid from Dragon Country is so cunning. The previous injuries, slowdowns, etc. were clearly pretended by him to confuse people. He did it just to stand on the same line with the back line composed of Chiellini and Bonucci. Then wait for Quagliarella and Berardi on the two sides. After attracting the two Juventus fullbacks, Dybala, who is good at passing, will send a surgical pass. Pass the ball to the empty space in Juventus backcourt. Xiao Chenhui, the living beast, can use the amazing starting speed. Get rid of Chiellini and Bonucci in one fell swoop, causing offside. Is this a football tactic? This is clearly a military strategy. Buffon really wants to ask Xiao Chenhui, you are such a good actor, why don't you go to Hollywood to develop? Why are you causing trouble in the Serie A? You are not a pockmarked man. You are a living pit. It's too unkind. I understand, but does Buffon have any other options? Among the teams that have played against Brescia, who doesn't know that Xiao Chenhui's single-handed attack is as steady as an old dog? It's harder to miss than to score. Gritting his teeth secretly, Buffon decided to go all out. Fight with Xiao Chenhui to the death. He quickly adjusted his pace. Buffon's center of gravity squatted slightly. He stretched his hands to both sides of his body as much as possible to block the goal gap as much as possible. His eyes were fixed on Xiao Chenhui's feet. As long as his feet made any shooting movements, Buffon would make a judgment based on his movements at the first time. But who said that Xiao Chenhui's first choice when he had a single-handed attack was to shoot? Perfect integration of Ronaldo's star card. But how many goalkeepers can do it? Pass the goalkeeper. Push the empty goal. This is Ronaldo's iconic goal. Head coach Inzaghi said silently, "You pass. Anyway, you are better at counter offside than me, the master. Is there anything else you dare not do? Pass. I will watch your performance quietly." Xiao Chenhui seemed to have heard Inzaghi's voice. The bronze light of the S-level skill anti-offside in the system skill column weakened. It was replaced by a golden light. The SSS level skill pendulum pass was activated. The whole body turned into the hands of the Big Ben on Elizabeth Hall. It swung left and right. Not only can it rotate clockwise at an accelerated speed, but it can also rotate counterclockwise. I just want to ask you if Buffon was panicking under the fake move that was so realistic that it was difficult to distinguish the true from the false. Buffon was really caught. He was shaken by Xiao Chenhui and lost his balance. He fell helplessly on the lawn. He watched Xiao Chenhui dribbling the ball past him. Then he watched him push the football into the empty goal with the arch of his foot. Relying on Xiao Chenhui's Oscar-level acting skills, Brescia took the lead dramatically, and the game was only in the 6th minute. Such a start. I'm afraid that among the more than 71,000 fans at the scene, not even 1% of them could think of it. They dare not even think about it. Juventus coach Allegri, who was standing on the sidelines, had a gloomy face. The veins on his forehead were throbbing. He looked like he was about to curse. This made Inzaghi quietly move his feet. He distanced himself from Allegri a little further. "Brother, if you have a rage, go and vent it on that bastard on the field. Don't pick on me. I'm innocent too. Who knew that bastard would do this? I swear. It's really not my teaching. It's just, to be honest." Inzaghi still felt quite satisfied. No matter whether the cat is black or white, a cat that can catch mice is a good cat. No matter whether it is a conspiracy or an open conspiracy, a good trick is a good trick that can defeat the enemy. The field is like a battlefield. As long as it does not violate the rules of the game and does not deviate from the moral standards. What's wrong with using some conspiracy occasionally? That's called wisdom. Nearly 70,000 Juventus fans were silent. Instead, a small group of Brescia fans were excited. They waved their team logos and scarves desperately. They frantically pulled at their blue and white autumn clothes. They shouted Xiao Chenhui's name hysterically. They were so excited. Who was the last person to break through the Alpi Stadium in Serie A? It can be traced back to the first generation flag Roberto Baggio in the 2003-2004 season. 10 years later, no one in Brescia could break the spell at the Alpi Stadium. The new generation flag Xiao Chenhui did it. He is the hero of Brescia. Our flag. Our captain. Goal again. Goal. 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 No matter when and where, no matter who the opponent is, he always makes us feel at ease. He is like a magical boy full of magic, letting us see his incredible magic again and again. Come on. Cheer. For our flag. For our captain. Commentator Benito seemed to be possessed by Hiweli at this moment. Of course. Under his passionate drive, Brescia fans cooperated with the lone warrior of the Dragon Country fans, pushing the atmosphere to the peak. It was in sharp contrast to the silence of 70,000 Juventus fans. After 2 minutes of crazy celebration, the referee urged the Brescia Demons to return to the game state. The game continued. It seemed that he knew that the Juventus players were full of anger. Only Xiao Chenhui was left in Brescia's front court. The rest of them all retreated back to their own half. They refused to cross the midfield line. You can figure it out with your heels. When a lion is bitten by an ant, what will the lion do? Of course, it will do its best to crush the ant. Juventus is in such a state. It's a pity that they misjudged the gap between themselves and the Brescia Demons. They may be lions, but the demons on the opposite side are by no means ants that can be easily crushed. The tall and strong Gagliardini retreated to the back line. Together with Skriniar, they built a high-altitude defense line. They resisted the aerial bombardment from Juventus. Morata and Laurent, who were on the opponent's front line, never got any decent chances. Koulibaly, together with Kimmich on the right and Rafael Guerreiro on the left, laid out a solid positional defense on the ground. With Tonali's active return defense, they greatly restricted Tevez and Giovinco, who were small, fast and agile. They didn't give them any chance to penetrate quickly. Quagliarella and Berardi on the wing, retreated from the winger position to the wing forward position. They moved from the wing to the center. They took turns with Dybala to entangle Pogba and Vidal. They cut off their passage from one penalty area to another. Their running without sparing their energy greatly reduced their power. Seeing that their midfield players were unable to use their strength, Chiellini and other defenders were anxious. Do you want to help? You dare to ignore the live animal who has taken the offside trap to a new level? Why not go up and help? Seeing the teammates in the front court attacking again and again without success. It's really uncomfortable. At the critical moment, Allegri's shout came from the sidelines, left and right wings, attack alternately. Chapter 145 Juventus counter-attack. Allegri is a world-class coach after all. Even Inzaghi is inferior to him in commanding operations. The new combat mission he issued to Juventus soon received immediate results. The full-backs Lichtsteiner and Casas on both wings took turns to assist. But no matter who inserted in the back row, the person on the other side must stay in the backcourt. Assist the central defender combination of Chiellini and Bonucci to defend Xiao Chenhui. Lichtsteiner is tenacious and energetic. He often inserts assists on the wing. Deliver accurate diagonal long passes to his forward teammates. In terms of the last long pass, he is somewhat similar to Beckham, who was once famous in the world football. Although he does not have the profound skills of Beckham's crescent moon knife. But his 45-degree diagonal long pass can also be regarded as a dangerous weapon. And Casas is a Uruguayan player. He has the beautiful footwork common in South American players. Penetrating through the ground, kicking high balls. Various offensive methods emerge in an endless stream. If he hadn't been loaned to Sevilla in La Liga for 2 years before, and had just returned to Juventus this season, his cooperation with his teammates was still a little uncoordinated. Casas can play a much stronger ability than now. The two full-backs took turns to rush left and right, directly transporting shells from the backline to the front and middle court. Let Brescia's little demons immediately become busy. More importantly, Brescia's little demons have a clear division of tasks. Who will guard the tall forwards like Morata and Laurent? Who will guard the small, fast, and smart like Tevez and Giovinco? The little demons have their own duties. But no one specifically guards the two full-backs of Juventus. Under normal circumstances, which head coach would arrange someone to guard the opponent's defender? Isn't that just a waste of time? But Allegri seized this loophole and mobilized the two full-backs to strengthen the offensive firepower in the front and middle court. Many times, a straw can be the final weight that breaks the camel's back. Not to mention Lichtsteiner and Casas, who have strong offensive firepower. In the 13th minute of the game, 7 minutes after Xiao Chenhui scored the goal, Brescia's defense was finally penetrated by Juventus players. The initiator of this attack was Lichtsteiner, who attacked on Allegri's orders. He made a precise shot on the wing, letting the ball pass over the heads of Gagliardini and Rafael Guerreiro, and landed accurately above the head of the tall and strong Laurent. Laurent relied on Skriniar, half-turned and jumped into the air, and used his head to knock the ball back to Giovinco, who came forward to meet him. Giovinco stopped steadily with his chest and unloaded the ball in front of him. Then he stretched out his foot and knocked the ball. Let the ball pass through the narrow space between Koulibaly and Kimmich, and pass through the only route. The ball was successfully distributed to the side in front of Tevez. Tevez, known as the Beast, turned around and shot the ball. The explosive force generated when turning, and the strength of the legs were superimposed. They hit the football in front of him. Bang! The huge sound was like a ferocious beast roaring. The mountains collapsed, and the earth cracked. The football flew off the lawn, like a fighter jet taking off from the airport. It rushed to the upper right corner of the goal fiercely. Although Andrenasi had tried his best to make a save, even his fingertips had touched the whistling football. But he still couldn't keep Tevez's shot out. Dang. The football hit the intersection of the crossbar and the goalpost. Then it bounced into the goal. It hit the net and created a ripple. Relying on the goal of the beast Tevez, Juventus tied the score. 1:1. The two sides returned to the same starting line. They defended desperately for more than 7 minutes. In the end, they were tied by Juventus. This was a bit of a blow to the Brescia Demons. Is Juventus really that strong? So strong that they can't stop their attack, even if they try their best? Most of the Demons lowered their heads in frustration. There were only two exceptions. Xiao Chenhui, the king of all demons, and Quagliarella, who is getting more and more demonic with age. The eyes of these two people are still fierce, still full of fighting spirit. Quagliarella is a former player of Juventus. He was almost kicked out by the team's top management last season. In the end, he married to Brescia, which made Inzaghi pick up a bargain. Of course, he wants to prove himself again at the Alpi Stadium. Let the top management and fans of Juventus see, Quagliarella, still maintain a high level in the Serie A. Compared with Quagliarella's personal grudges, Xiao Chenhui's fighting spirit is mixed with something else. In his memory, 3 years later in 2017, Longguo Shenhui signed 32-year-old Tevez for a high price of 10 million euros and offered him a big contract with an annual salary of $40 million US. According to the exchange rate at that time, this annual salary is worth about 270 million Longguo currency. It is a huge sum of money that many people cannot earn in 10 lifetimes. But Tevez, who was paid a high salary, enjoyed this astronomical figure with peace of mind. He worked but did not work hard on the field. He was just like an old man from Longguo strolling in the square. In the late stage of the league, this old man simply stopped working. He claimed that he was injured and could not play. He hid away and had a good time. Some reporters even took pictures of him and his family playing in Disney. Throughout the season, he only scored 4 goals. After the season ended, Tevez used the excuse of missing his hometown to forcefully terminate his contract with Shenhui. He returned to his country with the huge money earned by working, but not working hard. Therefore, he left the infamy of Tess homesick in Longguo. In fact, Longguo football has a low status in the international arena. It is not an exception to be at the mercy of others who made Longguo players not strive for excellence. Longguo team owners are stupid and rich. One is willing to fight, the other is willing to be beaten. Who can be blamed? It is not uncommon for European and American players to play and act like big names in the Longguo Super League. It is nothing new. But people like Tevez treat the entire Longguo people as fools, trampling on the dignity of Longguo people without any bottom line. This is too much. So in today's game, anyone can score. Only Tevez scored a goal, which made Xiao Chenhui feel very uncomfortable. Didn't he score the goal to tie the score? Then beat him. See if he has the ability to catch up with the score again. Brothers, the game has just been going on for more than 10 minutes, and it's not over yet. Let them know how powerful our Brescia youth guards are. Xiao Chenhui's raw full of fighting spirit. Let the Brescia demons raise their heads again. The Demise gradually regained their due fighting spirit. Seeing this scene, not to mention that Inzaghi was already grinning from ear to ear. Even the opponent's head coach Allegri couldn't help but look at Xiao Chenhui a few more times. Not caring about the gains and losses of a city or a place. Holding the situation at the most critical moment. Inspiring his teammates' desire to win when their morale was low. This is the demeanor of a general. No wonder this boy from Dragon Country became the youngest captain in the history of Brescia. No wonder Menz and Raiola wanted to sign him again and again. No wonder his own team and the 2 Milan giants offered him an annual salary of 5 million euros. It's not without reason. Chapter 146. Go straight without turning. In the remaining half an hour of the first half, the two sides entered a fierce battle for the midfield. A large number of troops were deployed in the midfield competition. The score of 1:1 was maintained until the end of the first half. After a short 15-minute break, the second half of the game was staged as scheduled. Both sides still started from the battle for the midfield. Every inch of land must be fought for. This process lasted for 20 minutes. At the 65th minute of the game, the coaches of both sides made substitutions at the same time. And they made 2 substitutions at a time. Allegri replaced Laurent with a wing attacker Asamo, and replaced Giovinco with Padoin. The intention was to strengthen the penetration attack on the wing and form a trend of bombing, in turns with the 2 fullbacks. Inzaghi replaced Gagliardini with the old demon Diamanti and replaced Berardi with the newly joined right back Mario Fernandes. The 4-3-3 formation was changed to a balanced 4-4-2. After entangled with Juventus for so long, Quagliarella's physical fitness began to decline. He can no longer run as hard as he did in the first 65 minutes. After all, he is a veteran over 30 years old. He cannot be compared with the young players who are full of energy. Let Quagliarella leave the midfield and return to the front line. Reform a CP with Xiao Chenhui. It is the most correct choice to always threaten Juventus defense. Without Quagliarella's midfielder, the defensive strength has increased instead of decreased. Because the original right back Kimmich has reached the position of defensive midfielder. He and Tonali form a double defensive midfielder. The double D combination of Dybala and Diamanti is to do a good job of defense, while providing firepower support to the two teammates on the front line as much as possible. Mario Fernandes, who replaced the right back Kimmich on the back line, did not have much experience in Serie A before, but he had been training in the Russian Premier League for more than 2 years. His offensive and defensive abilities are very good. He may not be able to deal with Tevez's offensive. There should be no big problem dealing with Asamo. Inzaghi's change of formation is equivalent to turning the double D combination in the midfield into a live chess piece. When they need to defend, they retreat to form a solid defense line with Tonali and Kimmich. When they need to attack, they transform into shadow strikers and wing midfielders respectively. Dybala is infinitely close to the front line. He chooses to pass the ball or shoot directly according to the actual situation. Diamanti stands in the area near the center of the wing to organize the attack. It is called a 4-4-2 formation, but it reminds people of the brutal formation used by Brescia against Fiorentina in the Italian Cup last season. It is 4-4-2 when defending, and 4-2 for when attacking. Compared with Allegri's slightly conservative positional substitutions, Inzaghi's change of formation is undoubtedly bolder, but it is also more risky. Either stand to live or stand to die. Kneel. There is no such thing. Allegri and Juventus players are a little uncomfortable with Inzaghi's adjustment. This is exactly the effect Inzaghi wants. Before they could react, Brescia launched a combination punch. The run and gun tactic was fully demonstrated. Xiao Chenhui sprinted to the winger position in the front court. He sought a wall-to-wall match with Quagliarella. Then he turned into a center forward. He infiltrated the position with Dybala or Diamanti. He was everywhere. His ghostly running made Chiellini and Bonucci annoyed. It gradually disrupted their defensive rhythm. And Xiao Chenhui was not the only one who played a role in the run and gun tactic. In addition to Quagliarella deliberately reducing the running distance to conserve his energy, the young Dybala and the new force Diamanti, who had just come on the court, ran so happily. The last moment he was still cooperating with Xiao Chenhui. The next moment he returned to the midfield to join forces with Tonali and Kimmich to set up defense. In Brescia's ever-changing run and gun tactical system, the Juventus players could only follow their footsteps and bump around. Allegri's previously arranged tactics were disrupted beyond recognition. Asamo and Padoin, who were sent on the field, didn't know where to run. In less than 10 minutes, Juventus' formation was completely disrupted by Brescia's combination punches. They were the ones who were killed by random punches. The Brescia demon, who had been patient for a long time, finally showed his ferocious fangs at this moment. In the seemingly murderous run, Dybala took the initiative to come to the position of shadow striker. Diamanti abandoned his opponent Lichtsteiner on the wing and began to move closer to the center. The 4-4-2 formation quietly turned into a brutal 4-2-4 formation. Kimmich, who had just finished stealing the ball in the midfield, immediately passed the ball to Tonali, who was front midfielder. Tonali did not stop after getting the ball. He used his toes to elegantly pick the ball over the heads of Pogba and Vidal. It fell in front of Dybala in an overhead arc. Dybala, who got the ball, started chanting a spell while holding the magic formula. Balala energy. Shallow shallow. The little magic fairy transformed. The little magic fairy in the script did not appear. The flaming Super Saiyan stood up. Dybala opened his flaming eyes. Among the thousands of roads, he found a diagonal line that went straight to the front of Juventus penalty area. The beautiful through ball was as precise as a scalpel. The defense of Chiellini and Bonucci collapsed in an instant. They lost their positions due to Brescia's run and gun tactics. Dybala sees the fatal flaw. The football rolled forward quickly. A blue and white figure started early. At the amazing speed of 10.23 seconds for 100 meters, he rushed straight through the interception of Juventus central defender combination, going in a straight line. No turning. My nickname is Live Animal. I speak for myself. The textbook-like diagonal pass and direct penetration made Juventus' defense line lose its temper. Chiellini and Bonucci were in their prime in 2014. They were later nicknamed Zu and Ming'erleo by Dragon fans. The combined value of the two people must be tens of millions of euros. As a result, just like this, Xiao Chenhui was embarrassed when he broke through. Lichtsteiner, who assisted on the wing, had no time to return to defense quickly. Another fullback Casas hurried to the middle to fill in, trying to destroy the ball before Xiao Chenhui kicked the ball. Xiao Chenhui saw Casas' action with the corner of his eye. The straight line under his feet did not change at all. He rushed straight to the goal guarded by Buffon. Young Buffon was also angry. Straight men are not as straight as you, okay? One after another, he rushed into my face. How much do you think of me, Buffon? After all, I have been the world's #1 goalkeeper for many years. Can I lose face twice in a row in front of you? Buffon, furious, rushed out of the goal. His speed was not much slower than Casas, who came over. At the age of 36, he could still run at such a speed. It can be seen how angry he was. Xiao Chenhui's brain was working at high speed. He calculated the distance between himself and Buffon. After a few big steps, there was only 2 meters of space between him and Buffon. Buffon threw himself to the ground without hesitation. He used his whole body to block Xiao Chenhui horizontally. His eyes showed the confidence of old age. Can you try to pass again? Buffon is 191 centimeter tall. He lay on the lawn. He almost completely blocked the 2-meter space. The gap left for Xiao Chenhui to break through can be said to be negligible. But who said Xiao Chenhui must break through? Walking in a straight line does not mean hitting your head against the wall. You are not a fool. Can you do such a stupid thing? He raised his right foot slightly to pass the football. Xiao Chenhui got there 0.01 seconds before Buffon's arms reached the football. He stamped his heel hard. He chose to pass the ball. Those who walk in a straight line are the steely straight men. You are overthinking. Xiao Chenhui became cunning, and even an old fox like Inzaghi had to stay away. Buffon, who fell to the ground, and Casas, who rushed over, were stunned for a moment. He hurriedly looked behind Xiao Chenhui. Quagliarella, who was not guarded, rushed over. He swung his thigh and shot a ruthless shot. Close shots are not his strong point. He has maximumed out the long shots on the penalty area line. How did Tevez shoot just now? Return it as it is. Face the wind. Chapter 147. Life and Death Contest. Beep. The referee's whistle sounded. Quagliarella's goal was valid. Buffon and Casas, who were attracted by Xiao Chenhui, shook their arms helplessly. They had to accept this cruel reality. In fact, with Buffon's goalkeeping ability, if he faced Quagliarella's long-range shot seriously, there was a great possibility that Quagliarella's long-range shot would be blocked. It was a pity that most of Buffon's attention was focused on Xiao Chenhui. He was driven away from the front of the goal by Xiao Chenhui. He also made a technical move of falling to the ground to block. He could only sigh in despair for Quagliarella's shot. More annoyed than the two brothers Buffon was Lichtsteiner, who assisted. According to the tactical arrangement of Coach Allegri, Lichtsteiner had been devoted to the attack before. But whether it was Dybala or Diamanti, the attack on Lichtsteiner was almost defenseless. This made Lichtsteiner's advance more fierce. He accidentally ignored Quagliarella behind him. This gave Quagliarella the opportunity to follow up and shoot easily. Now think about it. Dybala and Diamanti did not defend Lichtsteiner, which was actually digging a hole for him. By luring him to attack in a big way, wouldn't there be a large space behind him, allowing Quagliarella to play freely? From the very beginning, before the 4-4-2 was transformed into a brutal formation, the Brescia guys started to dig a hole for Lichtsteiner. Lichtsteiner jumped in without thinking. He was buried alive. Buffon and the entire defense line were also dragged into the hole. Is Brescia really a professional team? These guys are all movie stars. Say, did you all go to the wrong set? You wanted to go to Hollywood, but you took the wrong flight and came to the Italian stadium? You can't play like this. We are a group of professional players. You actually want to compete with us in acting? It's too unethical. The score fell behind again. The hot-tempered Juventus players were angry. Tevez's eyes were emitting a beast-like light. He stared at Koulibaly, who was guarding him. He was about to fight if he disagreed. Pogba, who had a mohawk hairstyle, was even more furious. He stepped in front of Diamante, who was about to celebrate. His big black face was about to hit Diamante's forehead. Buffon climbed up from the lawn and rubbed his gloved hands hard. He looked at Xiao Chenhui in front of him with his eyes wide open. Although there was no obvious anger on his face, but he looked like he was ready to fight. Feeling the change in the atmosphere on the field, Xiao Chenhui expressed his dissatisfaction. Yo, are you planning to have a fight? Come on. Who dares to fight me? I'll hit him with a left hook and a right hook. Those who piss me off are in danger. When it comes to fighting, Xiao Chenhui said that he has been very arrogant since he was a child. Except for his father, he has never been convinced by anyone. The temperament is in control. When the situation was tense, a roar from the sidelines calmed the Juventus players down. What are you doing? Go back to your positions. You are the players of the great Juventus club. Don't be afraid of any opponent. Allegri spoke. Although it was difficult for him to accept the reality of being scored 2 goals in a row by a small team like Brescia at the Alpi Stadium, a strong man must have the demeanor of a strong man. Juventus is a great team. If you fall behind, you must make it back on the field. It's useless to talk about other things. Fighting is something that only small hooligans would do, not inferior to the great Juventus. The role of the famous coach was fully reflected at this moment. Allegri brought to the Juventus players not only changes in technical and tactical play, but also sublimation of temperament and spirit. He fully excavated the heritage accumulated by Juventus for 100 years and instilled it into every player. If a team wants to prosper, it must have this kind of rich heritage. The foundation of a wealthy club is invisible and intangible, but it is accumulated bit by bit after a long period of precipitation. It is definitely not comparable to those tycoon teams that wave checks and sign big names everywhere. It is even more impossible for a small Brescia to have it. Therefore, the fight did not take place. In order to give his players enough time to calm down their anger, Allegri used up the last substitution quota. Veteran Evra was ordered to replace left-back Casas. After Evra came on the court, Juventus players united as one and turned anger into strength. Under Allegri's new tactical arrangement, they launched a more fierce attack on Brescia. Facing Juventus's full force, Brescia changed the brutal formation into a strikerless bus formation. Without the transition of 4-4-2, it directly became 4-6-0. Xiao Chenhui and Quagliarella retreated to the midfield to replace Dybala and Diamante. The double D retreated a long way back, standing in the position of Tonali and Kimmich before. Tonali and Kimmich retreated to the front of their own penalty area. They were about to occupy the position of Skriniar and Koulibaly. There were still 20 minutes left in the game. Inzaghi's tactical intention was very clear. Keep the 3 points. As an opponent of Juventus for many years, he certainly knew the foundation of this giant. It is not wise to provoke a wounded lion. A real man can bend and stretch. The game time passed little by little. With the efforts of the Brescia monsters, the Lion of Juventus never broke through Brescia. After the fourth official on the sidelines looked at the watch several times, he raised the sign for 4 minutes of extra time. The two sides played very anxiously in the second half. Fouls occurred from time to time, so the extra time was relatively longer. The assistant referee began to raise the sign. Juventus players were even more eager to score a goal to tie the score. Facing a newly promoted team like Brescia, how could they lose? Tevez, who served as a striker, ran hard and actively sought offensive space. But for some reason, there was always a blue and white figure following him, blocking his route to receive the ball. Tevez was puzzled. Dragon boy, how much hatred do I have for you? Why do you always stare at me? You are a forward. Why don't you go to trouble our defenders and always follow me? Little did he know that Xiao Chenhui was secretly complaining. Old thief. Where are you running? Exclamation mark. Brothers are staring at you. As long as I'm here, don't even think about getting close to the goal. Just think of it as collecting some interest in advance for many dragon people who made you, an old thief, break your promise and treat the entire dragon country as fools. Accept your fate. Tevez was stared at by Xiao Chenhui and had no way to deal with it. The key is that the beast can run fast. The speed is so damn fast. Tevez had just gotten rid of his closed defense several times. He turned around and came up again. What do you say? Half of Juventus' main offensive firepower is concentrated on Tevez. When he is helpless, Juventus' forward line seems particularly powerless. Seeing that the game time has come to the last minute, in a few dozen seconds, Juventus will end in failure. At the moment of life and death, the beast waste Vidiel stood up. Receiving Pogba's cross, Vidiel relied on Tonali who was defending him closely. Suddenly, he shot a burst of shots from 30 meters away from the goal. The violent aesthetics were displayed to the extreme. The football flew rapidly at a low altitude. It went straight to the lower left corner of the goal. Andrinici made a flying save without hesitation. But when his body touched the grass, he helplessly found that the flying football accidentally hit Koulibaly's ankle halfway. Then there was a huge change of direction. The ball that was supposed to go straight to the lower left corner spun towards the upper right corner. Even if Andre Nassi had 8 arms, he couldn't defend against such an attack. Juventus tied the score with a lucky shot in the final countdown. It was a draw. Inzaghi was not disappointed with this result. He was able to get a point at the Alpi Stadium. Although there were some regrets, it was also a perfect result. After all, according to the real strength of both sides, Juventus, who was at home, had at least a 60% chance of winning. The reason why Juventus is called great is that there are a full 30 Serie A championship trophies on display, excluding those that were recovered in the 2004-2006 seasons. There are also 2 Champions Leagues and 3 Europa Leagues on display in the Hall of Fame. The championships of various other cups are also soft. These honors are enough for a small team like Brescia to catch up for 100 years. So, what is there to be disappointed about a draw? It is not so much that Brescia was tied by Juventus by luck at the last moment. It is better to say that the young guards under Inzaghi are trying to narrow the gap with the traditional giants. A new force that amazes Serie A has been born. Compared with Inzaghi's satisfaction, Allegri and his disciples obviously cannot accept such a result. What they got was not a draw. Instead, they received boos from more than 70,000 Juventus fans at the scene. Loud and harsh. Who can stand this? Chapter 148. Another winning streak. Brescia's young guards failed to take all 3 points at the Alpi Stadium, but they left with their heads held high. They were tied by Juventus' lucky goal in the last minute. Who can say that Brescia's monsters are weak? They are clearly a group of tigers who bite people to death without paying for their lives. When they are angry, they even bite the bones of their opponents. After this battle, the fate of the 2 teams Brescia and Juventus has changed. Juventus is like an old woman who has not recovered from a serious injury. It has temporarily lost the ability to dominate Serie A. The next 2 rounds of games ended in a draw. They drew 1-1 away from home with Sassuolo, who is also a newly promoted team. Returning to the home court, they were tied 2-2 by the powerful Roma team. It was not until the 3rd game after the confrontation with Brescia, which was the 7th round of Serie A, that Juventus regained confidence. They beat Atalanta 3-0 away. The haze of nearly a month was swept away. However, Brescia took the opportunity to advance triumphantly. In the next 3 games, they tied with AC Milan 1-1. They swept Udinese 3-1. They won 4-0 against Palermo, their old rival in Serie B last season. Although these 3 teams conducted in-depth research on Brescia's tactics, they sent 1 or even 2 people to guard Xiao Chenhui during the game, which prevented Xiao Chenhui from killing all 4 sides like in the previous rounds. But Xiao Chenhui still did not stop scoring goals. He always maintained an average efficiency of 1 goal per game. He topped the scorer list with a stunning performance of 9 goals in 7 games. What is commendable is that in the 4-0 victory over Palermo, Xiao Chenhui not only contributed a goal, but also provided 3 assists for his teammates. He helped Dybala kill his enemy again. He also helped Donnarumma and Torregrossa, 2 substitute players, to open their goal accounts in the new season. These 2 players who scored goals in the Serie A for the first time took the initiative to follow Dybala's example and polished Xiao Chenhui's golden assassin boots. The outstanding performance of the young guards allowed Brescia to gain 7 league points in 3 games, which was 2 league points ahead of Juventus, which also won all 3 games. After the 7th round of games, people were surprised to find that the team at the top of the standings was not Juventus, which dominated Serie A, nor the 2 Milan giants that were on the decline. It was Brescia, a newly promoted team that no one was optimistic about before the season. Behind them were Juventus, AC Milan, Naples and other strong teams. As for Inter Milan, another traditional top 3 team, we have to look back to see their shadows. After the glory of the Triple Crown, the current Inter Milan really needs a long time to recover. For a while, Brescia's dark horse nature was infinitely magnified by the media. Everyone was speculating whether they would stage the Kaiserslautern myth. The so-called Kaiserslautern myth refers to the 1997 to 1998 season. Kaiserslautern was promoted to the Bundesliga as the champion of the German second division. Then, unexpectedly, in that season, it defeated a number of strong opponents such as Bayern Munich, Schalke 04, and Dortmund. It bravely won the Bundesliga Championship Salad Bowl. This miracle has not been achieved until today in 2014. No other team promoted from the second division to the first division can do it. So it is called a myth by the majority of fans. Brescia's strong rise this season let people feel the atmosphere that once belonged to Kaiserslautern. So people are discussing it with great interest. Will Brescia reproduce the Kaiserslautern myth and stage another version of the magical scene of the Bundesliga in Serie A? However, Inzaghi did not let this almost flattering discussion penetrate into his own position. The demons under his command did not become complacent because of the 5 wins and 2 draws in the first 7 rounds. Not being disturbed by external factors. Playing every game steadily. This is what they need to do most. Moreover, as time goes by, the opening time of the Europa League is coming. As the champion of the Italian Cup last season, Brescia was exempted from the first 3 rounds of qualifying and directly entered the top 32 of the Europa League. They started from the home and away group stage. Their first opponent in the group stage was the strong team of the Belgian First Division, the Brugge team. The game time was 2 days later. Inzaghi arranged very targeted training for his monsters, striving to win the first European victory in the history of the Brescia team. For this reason, Inzaghi even took the initiative to give up the Italian Cup this season and regarded the Italian Cup as a trial field for training substitutes and young monsters. There was nothing he could do about it. Brescia was a small team, and the thickness of the bench was really thin. It could not withstand the test of continuous fighting on 3 fronts. It was impossible to give up the Serie A and the Europa League. After all, the gold content of these 2 competitions was much higher than that of the Italian Cup. Therefore, the only thing Inzaghi can let go of is the Italian Cup. This is also the fundamental reason why the 3 traditional Serie A teams were defeated by Brescia one after another in the Italian Cup last season. Brescia at that time was not strong. It was just that the 3 traditional teams were unwilling to waste too much energy in the cup. This was the loophole that Inzaghi led the little demons to take advantage of. Brescia's position is different this season. From the bottom of Serie B to the new force in Serie A, they will certainly think like the 3 traditional teams last season. They are unwilling to invest troops to compete for the useless Italian Cup championship. What's more, even the giants like the 3 traditional teams do not have enough bench depth to support 3-line operations. With Brescia's weak foundation, what can they fight for? Inzaghi's choice to give up the Italian Cup is actually very wise. In Xiao Chenhui's words, this is called you can't have your cake and eat it too. Those who give up the fish and take the bear's paw are also. Although Inzaghi and other demons don't understand the meaning of this sentence, they still feel powerful. Look at our captain. He is cultured, as expected of a great country with a 5,000-year-old civilization. Except for the fact that it is inferior to others in football, the powerful dragon country is really impeccable in other aspects, especially in the field of civilization inheritance. The temperament is well grasped. on the training ground of Brescia. When the young and old geniuses are training hard, the enthusiasm of Dragon Country for the first round of the Europa League in 2 days is also continuing to ferment. Since the 2006-2007 season, when Sun Xiang came on as a substitute in the Champions League for PSV Eindhoven. How long has it been since Dragon Country players appeared in the European competition? Counting on my fingers, it has been 7 years. The 7-year itch. Dragon Country fans have been itching for a long time. 7 years is a cycle. Finally, another Dragon Country player is about to appear in the European competition. Who still cares about the ban order? The support groups in major cities are like underground workers. They began to secretly recruit troops. Team after team of revolutionary fighters fearlessly boarded the flight to Belgium. Just like a hero who was forced to join the Liangshan mountain. To seek refuge with brother Cheoge. To seek refuge with brother Hui. Chapter 149 Meeting compatriots in a foreign land. The city of Brugge, where the Brugge team is located in the northwest of Belgium. It is the capital of West Flanders. It is also a famous cultural city and tourist destination in Belgium. Brugge means bridge in Flemish. It is named after an ancient Roman bridge on the Ley River that flows through the city. In the 14th century, it was one of the largest ports in Europe. One of Brescia's little demons, Calibali, acted as a tour guide. He explained this historic city to other teammates. At the same time, he gave a general explanation of the style of the Brugge team. Before the winter break last season, Calibali played for Genk in the Belgian First Division. Naturally, he knew something about the Brugge team, which is also in the Belgian First Division. This time, it was also his return to the old place. In Calibali's explanation, the Brescia Demons knew that the Brugge team's home stadium was located at the Bredel Stadium. It is a stadium that can accommodate nearly 30,000 people. With the strong support of local fans, the Brugge team has gradually become one of the best clubs in Belgium. So far, it has won 13 Belgian First Division championships. There are no big-name players in the Brugge team at present, but there are a group of good players in each position. Jesper Jorgensen from Denmark, Matthew Ryan from Australia, Victor from Spain and other players who are not very famous, but have good strength are playing for the Brugge team. In addition, a large number of local players are present. Munier, Blondel, Diefer, Simmons. They should not be underestimated when they are at home. Moreover, the Brugge team has rich experience in European wars. They almost enter the Champions League or Europa League every year. They are definitely not comparable to the Brescia young demons who are new to Europe. In terms of experience, they easily crush the Brescia youth guards under Inzaghi. What interested Xiao Chenhui the most was what Calibali said to him next. Captain, I remember that there seems to be another compatriot of yours in the youth team of the Brugge team. What's his name? I can't remember it clearly. Hearing that there was a compatriot from Dragon Country in the Brugge youth team, Xiao Chenhui immediately became excited. He took out his mobile phone and checked it carefully. Sure enough, he found out that the player from Longguo who played for the Brugge youth team was named Wang Shangyan. He had already started to show his talent in the first team last season. He played 7 games in the Belgian First Division for the first team. He got a total of 314 minutes of playing time. The average playing time was close to 45 minutes. That is to say, in the 7 games last season, Wang Shangyan basically secured a place as a main substitute. This was a pleasant surprise. Xiao Chenhui had only thought about bringing outstanding domestic players abroad before, but ignored the Longguo players who were already playing abroad. This time, taking advantage of the opportunity of playing away, he must have a good exchange with Wang Shangyan and try to sign him to Pirlo. His fingers were pressing quickly on the screen of his mobile phone. Xiao Chenhui sent 2 messages. One was sent to Pirlo. He asked him to get all the information about Wang Shangyan as soon as possible to see if he could sign him. The other was sent to Ma Fanshu in China. He tried to find Wang Shangyan's mobile phone number or other contact information. When the team bus drove into the Bro City Hotel from the airport, Pirlo and Ma Fanshu replied to Xiao Chenhui at the same time. Pirlo, I have seen it. It has great potential and can be operated. Ma Fanshu, contact information. As the captain, Xiao Chenhui is qualified to live in a room alone. enter the room and throw down the bag. Xiao Chenhui called Pelé as soon as possible. He must further confirm Wang Shangyuan's situation. If he is a promising talent, then try to help him. If he is like those big names in China, who can only cause trouble for sea cucumbers, he has talent, but does not know how to work hard. That's it. Klose, who once coached the Longguo team, said that Longguo football has never lacked talents. What is lacking is football mentors and a mechanism for the continuous improvement of talents. Therefore, Xiao Chenhui is willing to help potential Longguo players to the best of his ability. Many Longguo players are not without talent. It's just that their talents are restricted by the system of the Pig Association. They are unable to realize their talents. The magical coach Milu also said, attitude determines everything. So when Xiao Chenhui helps Longguo players, he also needs to see if their attitudes are correct. Xiao Chenhui would only lend a hand to those who dared to step out of their comfort zone and take the initiative to face challenges in the European arena, like Wu Lei and Zhang's. Otherwise, there would be no need to talk about anything. The call was quickly connected. Pelé gave a positive answer. He checked the information and used his own connections to find out that Wang Shangyuan was a positive player, at least in the past year with the blue team. He did not have the laziness and laxity that is common among Dragon players. Pelé also told Xiao Chenhui a good news. In view of Wang Shangyuan's potential and positive attitude, the head coach of the blue team is considering whether to officially promote him to the first team. Take off the hat of the youth training player and put on the training vest that symbolizes the first line players. This is definitely a great encouragement for the 21-year-old Wang Shangyuan. It is more effective than giving him any real money. After hanging up the call with Pelé, Xiao Chenhui thought for a moment. He picked up the phone again and dialed Wang Shangyuan's number directly. The busy tone sounded for a long time. The phone was picked up. A heavy gasp came from the other end of the receiver. Hello. Who is this? Obviously, Wang Shangyuan had just finished active training. Xiao Chenhui looked up at the clock in the room. The hour hand pointed to 7 o'clock in the evening. This time was obviously not the normal training time. It means that Wang Shangyuan is consciously practicing more. He knows to practice more automatically. Generally, he is not too bad. The so-called success is 99% effort plus 1% talent. Wang Shangyuan's hard-working attitude made Xiao Chenhui very satisfied. Hello, I'm Xiao Chenhui. After Xiao Chenhui introduced himself, there was silence on the other end of the phone for a full 5 seconds. Then a surprised voice came. Brother Hui. Is it really you? Xiao Chenhui's influence now spreads throughout Longguo. He is also a hot new champion in the Apennines. Of course, Wang Shangyuan has heard of his name, and he is his die-hard fan. Xiao Chenhui smiled. We are compatriots, and you are 3 years older than me, so just call me Xiao. The person on the phone retorted hastily. No. Brother Hui is the hope of our Dragon Country football. I must call you Brother Hui. The name Brother Hui is already used throughout the country. Xiao Chenhui reluctantly gave up the argument on this topic. He moved on to the next topic. Do you have time in the evening? Let's meet. Wang Shangyuan said excitedly. Okay, I have time. Brother Hui, send me the address, and I will find you immediately. Half an hour later, Wang Shangyuan appeared in front of Xiao Chenhui. There was a little embarrassment and panic on his slightly childish face. He was just a youth training player who was still struggling in the youth team. How could he not be nervous when he was in close contact with a big name star like Brother Hui? Xiao Chenhui smiled and let Wang Shangyuan into the room. After the two sat down, Xiao Chenhui said straight to the point. Let me ask you, do you want to get some experience in the European arena and then return to China to play football, or do you want to really gain a foothold in Europe? Wang Shangyuan said without hesitation. Of course I want to gain a foothold in Europe. Otherwise, I would not have chosen to go abroad to play football before I was 20 years old. In fact, Wang Shangyuan's answer not only represents his own attitude, but also reveals the helplessness of the young players in Longguo. In Longguo, when young players reach the age of growth, they will be targeted by the Pig Association or the owners of major clubs. This age is generally around 20 years old. Once they sign a professional player contract with a domestic club, they must accept the management of the PIG association. That will mean that the young players have lost the right to freely choose in the future. If they want to play football in Europe again, they will have to look at the PIG association's face and whether the club owner is willing to let them go. When Pelé operated Wu Lei and others to leave Longguo, didn't they encounter layers of obstacles? Therefore, some young players who are ambitious and willing to endure hardships usually leave Longguo before the age of 20. In this way, they can avoid the siege of the PIG association and domestic clubs. However, not many young players dare to make this decision, because once they cannot gain a foothold in Europe, if they want to return to the domestic arena, they must obtain the consent of the PIG association. The PIG association's lion's mouth is well known to everyone. They will peel off 3 layers of skin from the young players who do not return to the country. Can they register the young players? They have the right to not use it, and it will be invalid after the expiration. The PIG association has always been at the forefront of the world in this regard. A few simple conversations. Xiao Chenhui understood Wang Shangyuan's difficulties. The look on his face gradually became firm. Don't worry, as long as you play well, leave the rest to me. Wang Shangyuan's nervousness disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by endless enthusiasm. He nodded heavily. Brother Hui, don't worry. I will train hard and play well. Xiao Chenhui patted Wang Shangyuan on the shoulder. That's what I want you to say. Chapter 150, The First European War. 2014 1 p.m. Brescia's first European match of the season is about to begin. This is also the first European match in the lives of Xiao Chenhui and many young players in Brescia. The first time is always impressive and of great significance. No one wants to commemorate their first time with failure. So the moment they stepped onto the field, Brescia's young guards were full of fighting spirit. They were just about to write the words "must win" on their faces. Captain Xiao Chenhui took the lead. He led the Brescia young guards to stand in a row with pride and vigor. He shook hands with the players of the home team brew. Wang Shangyuan, who was sitting on the bench, looked at the domineering Xiao Chenhui. There was an envy in his eyes. When will he be like Brother Hui and become the core of a European club as a captain? Work hard. You must work harder. Brother Hui said. As long as you work hard, you will succeed one day. Wang Shangyuan's psychology fluctuated unprecedentedly at this moment. If it weren't for Xiao Chenhui's encouragement last night and today's stimulation, Wang Shangyuan might have gone back to China like the original historical process after 2 seasons of hard work in the blue team. He missed the best age for improvement. But now, Wang Shangyuan secretly made up his mind. No matter how much money the domestic clubs offered, he would never accept it. He must make a name for himself in the European arena. Brother Hui is his benchmark and goal. Beep. The sharp whistle interrupted Wang Shangyuan's thoughts and attracted his attention to the game. The best way to improve is of course to play in the game. But when you can't play, sit on the bench and watch every game carefully. Learn from it. Find the rhythm of integrating into the team's technical and tactical play. This is also another way to improve. Under Wang Shangyuan's careful observation, the game officially began. Brescia, playing away, took the lead in kicking off. When Xiao Chenhui's foot touched the football and completed the kickoff action, loud singing suddenly rang out in the audience. I love you walking alone in the dark alley. I love you for not kneeling. I love you for confronting despair and refusing to cry. I love your tattered clothes, but you dare to block the gun of fate. I love you for being so similar to me, with the same gaps. I love you for coming from the wilderness. You will never borrow anyone's light in your life. You will build your city-state on the ruins. Are you going? Go. This ragged cloak. Are you going to fight? Fight. With the most humble dream. To the sobbing and roaring in the dark night. Who said that only those who stand in the light are heroes? Exclamation mark. The Lone Brave. The song specially adapted for Xiao Chenhui by the fans of Longguo. Among the nearly 30,000 seats at the scene, 1/3 of them were black-haired and yellow-skinned Longguo people. They sang The Lone Brave, which was exclusively for Xiao Chenhui. They held high the red flag of Longguo and Xiao Chenhui's autumn clothes. They turned the Bredel Stadium into a sea of red, blue, and white. The home court of the blue team? Nonsense. This is our brother Hui's home court. Wherever Brother Hui's sword points to, Dragon Country fans will follow him to the death. Wang Shangyuan on the bench was deeply shocked by the scene in front of him. He couldn't help but stand up. He sang loudly with the Dragon Country fans on the scene. The head coach of the blue team turned his head to look at him. He muttered to himself, what stimulated this Dragon Country kid? Maybe he forgot to take medicine when he went out. At the moment when the head coach turned around, a huge cheer replaced the singing on the scene. Nearly 10,000 Dragon Country fans made the pure Dragon Country sound over the Bredel Stadium for the first time. Brother Hui is awesome. Roar. The head coach hurriedly turned his head to look at the field. Just saw Dybala raised Xiao Chenhui's golden boots. He did the classic shoe wiping action. What's going on? In the blink of an eye, these monsters scored a goal. Seeing his head coach looking confused, the assistant coach quickly recounted the situation just now. It was only 1 minute after the start. Brescia's youth guards began to pass the ball quickly in the midfield. From Dybala to Tonali, and then to Gagliardini. Then from Gagliardini back. After Tonali passed the ball was passed back to Dybala's feet. After a round of tiki-taka passing, the four midfielders of the blue team who had not yet fully entered the state were penetrated. After receiving the ball, Dybala made a hidden pass on the ground. The king of all monsters, Xiao Chenhui, reproduced the classic anti-offside tactics, easily shook off the blue team's central defender who was guarding him, and ran out of the fatal gap. Then started the amazing speed of 10.23 seconds. Killed all the way to the goalkeeper of the blue team. The goalkeeper, who was not familiar with Xiao Chenhui, subconsciously chose to attack. Wanted to block his shooting angle as much as possible. Xiao Chenhui was not panicked at all. In the high-speed movement, his body swayed back and forth from left to right. He made Ronaldo's iconic pendulum pass. 3 shakes and 2 buckles. The goalkeeper was knocked to the ground like a fool. Xiao Chenhui easily dribbled the ball past the goalkeeper, who had lost his threat. Facing the empty goal, he gently pushed the ball. The ball crossed the goal line of the blue team. Less than 3 minutes after the start of the game, Brescia turned the tables and gave the blue team a head start. After listening to the assistant coach's story, the head coach of the blue team was very depressed. Didn't Brescia just get promoted to Serie A this season? It has no foundation for European wars. How can it have such strong strength? This is unscientific. This passerby head coach didn't know. He thought that unscientific things were still to come. In the 17th minute, the king of all monsters, Xiao Chenhui, made a comeback. An offside got rid of the entire back line of the blue team. He broke into the penalty area alone. Then he made an inverted triangle pass at the bottom of the penalty area. Berardi rushed over. The shot broke the net. In the 33rd minute, Dybala made a large-scale transfer in the midfield. Xiao Chenhui, who was clearly in the center position, ran to the right like a ghost. A light lob pass found Skriniar, who was in the back row. Skriniar, who was good at heading, headed the ball to the unguarded direction in the penalty area. Quagliarella met the ball and shot from the penalty area line. The long shot knocked the goalkeeper of the blue team out of his temper. By the end of the first half, the blue team was already 3 goals behind. The angry coach had a gloomy face. He returned to the locker room in advance without saying a word. Then there was an angry roar. Even though there were 2 doors and a passage blocking the way, the Brescia demons could still faintly hear him shooting like a machine gun. Let him be angry. Guys, you did a good job in the first half. Keep attacking in the second half, and put a perfect end to our first European war with a big win. Inzaghi was like a big bad wolf tempting the little sheep. He showed his unscrupulous and cunning smile to his disciples. The expression clearly said, "Come on, little darlings, if you win the game, I will buy you some candy." End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.